It is time for us to do what we have been doing, and that time is every day.
We'll know in a very short period of time, but it looks like it could be something that will be not good. Believe me, not good.
I see issue with that. And again, hey.
You're not going to be able to insult your way to the presidency. That's not going to happen.
I don't know who created Pokemon Go, but I'm trying to figure out how we get them to have Pokemon go to the polls.
I'm Ted Cruz, and my pronoun is kiss my ass.
So when you think about it, there is great significance to the passage of time in terms of what we need to do to lay these wires, what we need to do to create these jobs.
America is a nation that can be defined in a single word. I was going to foot.
Not good. Believe me, not good.
Hello, dissidents. Welcome, one and all, to a Sunday evening edition of the Do Dissidents podcast. My name's Keaton Weiss, here with Russell Dobula, of course.
Hello.
If my hair looks like it was done or it wasn't. I did not wet my hair and comb my hair. It is raining out, and I went and walked the dog before the show, and with no hat, so it styled my hair for me. So if that looks intentional, it's not.
We can see here with your hair wet. Your hair's not long for this world, buddy. When you get into your 40s.
No. That's not true.
It's going to be gone.
It's not true. I have a thick head of hair. What you're seeing is I have a scar on the side of my head that makes it look like it's thinning.
Oh, you do?
Yeah.
All this time working together, you never told me that.
I think I told you before that when I was a kid, when I was a baby flying from San Francisco to New York, I hit my head on the airplane on one of the seat handles. And I almost died. I had an epidural hematoma, so I fell asleep.
No, you never told me this story.
I never told you that story?
No.
No, they had to cut my brain open when I was like an infant. They said if I was older when that happened, I would have died. I survived because an infant's skull is soft enough to absorb the pressure of blood in the brain. But I had blood in the brain, so they had to cut my head open and drain it out. And so that may look like that's what this is over here on this side. See that little stripe?
Is that why you fly into fits of rage in the middle of interviews?
Yeah, right. Yeah, exactly. That's my excuse for everything now.
Is that what it is?
Yeah, exactly. This YouTube studio keeps fucking up with me here, but there we go. All right, good. All right, all good on YouTube, I guess. All right, perfect. That explains that. But what I also want to say while we're getting started is we recently switched podcast hosts from Substack to Spotify. That should not affect anyone, including Substack, because we're still publishing the audio podcasts to Substack. It's just that's no longer our host platform. We switched to Spotify because Spotify lets you post videos. So we can now post the full-length live stream replays on Spotify for those of you who are subscribed there. A few of you guys reached out and said you weren't able to access the show on Spotify since we made the switch. It's been a total nightmare making the switch. I've spent a lot of time in chat support with the Spotify tech people. What helps if you subscribe to our audio show on Spotify, uninstall the app on your phone and then reinstall it. That worked for me. So hopefully that works for you. It's worked for the couple of people who I've told to do that. Some fans have reached out and asked what's up with Spotify. Uninstalling the app and reinstalling it works. You should be able to find our show again and resubscribe. I don't know why it happened that way. On the other podcast players, it was a smooth transition. On Spotify itself, it was not. But if you're a Spotify listener, that's what you got to do. Uninstall, reinstall. The old turn it off and turn it back on trick worked out.
Yeah.
So go ahead, Russell.
Every time.
You were praying this morning?
So I got some churching up today. So I went to the Zen Buddhist temple. I haven't been there in a while because I've been out of town so much. So at the end, they had like a Dharma talk. And then I don't know what they call them in Zen, not Rinpoches, that's Tibetan, but the leader, he opened it up to the floor. And, I hate that because you always get it whether it's in classes or in a Buddhist monastery. You get people who just want to ask a question and there's no fucking reason for it. And you're sitting there, you're like, can we go to the lobby for the tea now? Shut the fuck up. But it's okay if people ask like a relevant question.
Right.
So there's a woman next to me and she starts talking about how it's like the high holy days. I was like, oh, here we go. You know, she was a Jewish woman.
Right.
And I was like, oh, is she going to start talking about the hostages? But you know what? That shows how much my own mind has been affected. Although it's a fair assumption when you're at a place on the Upper East Side.
Right.
But then a young lady, maybe 21, 22, she asked the question of how you keep your head on straight with all the horror in the world. And she mentioned the genocide in Gaza. And so I'm eyeballing the Jewish lady to see how to do that. But no, she was nodding along. I was like, all right, she's a Jewish voice for peace, people. She's all right. So afterwards, everyone goes out and they're having tea. And so somebody brought up how Buddhists in the Vietnam era, a lot of them self-immolated in protest, and they were very involved in the anti-war movement. And so I said to the guy, I was like, do you ever take positions on that? Have you taken a position on the war? And he said, no, it's policy. We don't get involved in that because so many people have different views. In other words, you're on the Upper East Side and you don't have the balls. That's how I take that. You don't what, and he was saying people can interpret it different ways. And people in the room weren't even buying it. They were like, well, but if Buddhism is about peace, how would that be?
Right.
How could you misinterpret taking an anti-war stand? Because he was basically saying it could be misinterpreted. You can't really misinterpret marching in an anti-war march. And it did. I hadn't really thought about it, actually. But yeah, because the new left of the 60s and 70s had such an affection for Eastern mysticism, you had a lot of religious leaders from Hindu sects and Buddhist sects that would be out there. It was almost a cliche of the era. And yeah, you're not seeing that at all today. Like really, there are many Buddhist organizations, but there's like a New York Buddhist umbrella organization.
Right.
And they really should issue a statement about that. But you know why? Because they don't want to piss off the Zionists. They don't want to deal with it. They've probably got a lot of Zionist members.
Oh, of course. That's where they go get their ohm on.
Exactly.
Alrighty. Cool.
It was disappointing. It's disappointing.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking, I'm like, oh yeah, man. I mean, maybe I could have the guy on. That would be pretty cool. Have like a Buddhist on to speak against the war.
But
yeah, shot that down real quick.
No such luck.
No.
Alrighty, folks. Well, we got 1,000 of you guys in the YouTube chat already. It's a great crowd so far. 854 strong on Rumble. Thank you so much for being here. Hit that like button. Hit that follow button. Tweet this out. Share this. Let's get a nice crowd in here on this Sunday evening. Let's start the insanity, shall we? So the Democratic Party, folks, made history this week. They made history. Jamie Harrison, head of the DNC, very proud of this. Today, the DNC is releasing its first ever ad focused on third-party candidates. That's not a flex. That's not like a brag. Like, why would you announce that as, this is a historic first? Trump likes, quote-unquote, that Jill Stein is in this race because Jill Stein can't win, but she can help Trump win. So let's take a look at this. A historic first, everyone. The first time that the DNC has ever released an official attack ad against a third-party president. They're very, very proud of this, so let's see their work.
Stein, Green Party candidate for president. So why are Trump's close allies helping her? Stein was key to Trump's 2016 wins in battleground states. She's not sorry she helped Trump win. That's why a vote for Stein is really a vote for Trump.
Jill Stein, I like her very much. You know why? She takes 100% from them.
She does a great job.
I'm Kamala Harris, and I approve this message.
Yeah, so that's DNC official campaign ad with the Kamala Harris stamp
moron. You're such a
of approval. Yeah.
moron.
Oh,
Oh, forgot to kill the loop there.
I'll take care of it.
All right, cool. Yeah, no, that is a historic first. Very, very proud of that. Our friend Nick Cruz at RN, who we're going to be featuring a little bit later on the show as well. Those internal polls must be devastating. Yes, this is absolutely the work of a loser. Dems are shook, says Nico House, after seeing those polls in Michigan. Let's go, Jill Stein, Butch Ware. Peter Lombard, I don't know who he is, but he gets this right here. You really are desperate. Kamala Harris is really going to lose. So you lash out at Jill Stein while ignoring Harris's absolute support for Israel and the genocide it is committing. The problem for Democrats is not Jill Stein, it's Kamala Harris. Absolutely. So this is absolutely the work of a desperate campaign. I mean, like, what did they think they were accomplishing by releasing that? Anyone would tell you that for a major party to be attacking a third party within a month of the election means they're really desperate for every vote they can get. The polls in Michigan are razor tight now. Trump has actually overtaken Kamala in the latest average of polls. It's very close by less than 1 point, but he is the leader at this point. Trump has amassed a very, very small lead in a lot of these swing states now. That's why the betting markets have swung back towards him very, very slightly, mind you. But Trump's polling is proving resilient, and a move like this is obviously the move of a losing campaign. And so I want to show you this video here. Mark Halperin on Harris's swing state trajectory. So Mark Halperin has been following the developments of the race. This was a guy who was Me Too'd a few years back and sort of shunned from mainstream media. He did go out on a limb in mid-July saying Joe Biden will be out.
So what's he doing now? He's just running his own shop?
He's got his own thing, and he's got the YouTube channel. He's one of us. He's in our game now. Welcome, Mark.
Now he's in our game. All right.
Yeah. But, he went out on a limb in mid-July, the weekend before Joe Biden dropped out, and said, I have a source that says Biden's going to drop out this weekend. And then it looked like Biden wasn't going to drop out, so we all said what an idiot this guy made of himself. But no, turns out he was correct. He was right. The only prediction he got wrong, he said Biden wasn't going to endorse Kamala. Biden did endorse Kamala. But he did get right when Biden would drop out. So this is, like I said, he's a reputable guy, and he has access to the internal polls. And so what he says here confirms the suspicion of many people who rightly criticized that ad for being the desperate work of a flailing campaign. Here's Mark Halperin on the state of the swing states.
For you Harris people on here complaining that we're talking about problems in the Harris campaign, you're welcome to put your head in the sand about it. If you want to go watch MSNBC primetime and hear how great things are going for the Harris campaign, you're welcome to do that. But if you want to understand what's actually happening, we're here to tell you. I just saw some new private polling today that's very robust private polling. She's in a lot of trouble. Here's how.
Boom. No audience capture from Mark Halperin. He tells the audience straight to their face while they're on a Zoom call. Listen, any of you Kamala Harris supporters don't like this.
Come and get your fucking shine box.
That's it. Proud of this guy. But he says, yeah, they're in a lot of trouble. He goes on.
I framed it this morning in my newsletter. The conversation I'm having with Trump people and Democrats with data are extremely bullish on Trump's chances in the last 48 hours. Extremely bullish. You think of the 7 battleground states. Which ones is Harris in danger of losing? I would say Pennsylvania, Michigan, Wisconsin, Arizona, North Carolina, and Georgia. I'm not saying she'll lose all 6, but she's in danger. The only one that the Democrats say she's not in danger of losing is the one I never say the name of because I can't pronounce it. But it's where Las Vegas is, right? You guys agree with me? She could lose any of those 6, right? I mean, she could lose all 7, but Democrats will tell you they're worried about those 6. They're less worried about the 7th. Yeah. I don't know any Trump person who says they're worried about losing any of the 7. They don't know that. They don't necessarily think they're the favorite in Michigan and Wisconsin, but they're not worried about losing them. Right. There's not. You don't hear from them, oh my goodness. What you hear is we're moving up. What the 3 of us are hearing. We're moving up in those 2. We're gonna win. We're gonna win the 3 Sunbelt states, and we're stronger in Pennsylvania than she is. That to me, if the whole thing's about the Electoral College, you take any of the Rust Belt states away from her, it's very difficult for her to win. Very difficult. It's not mathematically impossible, but it probably won't happen if she loses any of them.
So there you have it. He lays out how dire it is. This is why I've always said Trump, in my brain, is the favorite. My gut tells me we're going to see the normie surge, but my brain has always said Trump is the favorite for mostly this reason. Trump has more paths. Fewer things have to go right. What Halpern said there is absolutely spot on from a pundit standpoint. He's got small but stubborn leans in the Sunbelt states. His trajectory is very, very slow but positive in the upper Midwest. And all he needs is one of those, and he almost certainly wins unless he's surprised somewhere else. And so given the tightness of the race, you're seeing Democrats scrounging for every vote they can. That is the only thing that explains why you would attack Jill Stein with less than a month to go.
I find Halpern's work is a lot better since he went over to just having Alexa do all of his assisting.
Right. Yeah. Less distractions.
Girls. Less distractions. He seems more focused now.
Yeah.
Since he got Me Too'd. Yeah, maybe. You could argue it either way. I think you're still just as likely to have what I would call a Roe surge as to have Trump win. It's a very unpredictable election for that reason. Like without Dobbs, we'd be living in a different world, man. You'd probably have Republicans in control of the Senate and the House right now. Like it would just be a different universe. So everyone was predicting a red wave. I think we were inclined, although we were skeptical of Trump's picks, to think that the Republicans were going to do much better than they did, as I recall, how we were talking about it at the time. So who fucking knows? Nobody knows shit with this election.
No one knows.
You're right. Like, Trump has more paths, so the odds favor him. Then again, how do you predict it? Same thing with Trump and Hillary, where everyone was confidently predicting it. How do you predict it when you have two of the most repulsive people in the country running against each other? And here we are again, where you have two of the most repulsive people in the country, people that most people do not like. Most people in general, most normal people do not like Donald Trump, and most normal people do not like Kamala Harris. At that point, it comes down to whose voters show up, which you just don't know until the day of the election. You really don't.
No, there's no way to really predict with any confidence who will win for two main reasons. The first is that there are more swing states now than there have been in any close race in recent history. 2000 and 2004, those were the closest races in recent history. 2016 was an upset. Like, the polls weren't that close. Sure. The polls showed Hillary was pretty likely to win the swing states. They were just wrong. But in terms of polling going in, the two closest races in recent memory would have been 2000 and 2004.
But I would argue that's part of why the polls were so off, because it's such a weird dynamic when you got two candidates nobody likes. I think that makes a lot of room for unpredictable outcomes.
Well, that's
because you're not dealing with normal motives.
Yeah, that's certainly a big part of it too. You want to pull your mic a little closer to your mouth, I think.
Oh yeah,
yeah, a little bit. There we go. So that is certainly one part of it. The other part of it, though, too, is that there's more swing states than ever, so there's more variables. But also, both candidates have a hidden vote out there. We know there's a hidden Trump vote because there always is. There always has been. The polling has never quite pinned down the Trump base. But there's also been a hidden pro-choice vote.
Right.
Not ever since
fucking Kansas.
Yes, in Kansas, which was before the midterms of 2022. Right. Then you had a hidden pro-choice vote in the midterms. Then you had hidden pro-choice votes in the statewide races in 2023. Now, how much of that translates to Kamala? See, the other thing that's a huge X factor is Kamala's turnout operation has never been tested because she's never won any votes. Like, part of the reason you go through a primary process is to put a stress test to your campaign operation. So you know when you get to the general, okay, we've already turned out 15 million people. There's already proof that we can actually turn people out. There's so much unknown going into this election day. It's impossible to predict. But the closeness of the race clearly giving Democrats major anxiety, since what we know for sure is Trump is polling better than he ever has before going in. And that is a desperate work of a campaign that feels like it is in grave danger of losing. And they are.
And also, numerically, the conventional wisdom for a very long time has been, if you're performing, which we'll get into a little later, If you're performing the way Kamala is with African Americans and you're performing the way she is with Latinos, you literally cannot win as a Democrat. So I don't even understand, based on that, how the polling is close. It's always been my understanding. She's actually losing Latinos now? So it's around 50-50, but I think favoring Trump.
Yeah, Trump has overtaken her in a couple of these recent polls.
Trump.
Yep.
And I've always heard 15% goes to the Republicans on black voters. Democrats are done.
Well, no, it's because they've made such inroads with the white neocon suburban Nikki Haley, George Bush, Dick Cheney people.
Yeah,
like that's what's keeping them in the game. It really is.
They're switching bases.
Yeah. So I thought this was great. Propaganda and Company put out a response to the attack ad on Jill Stein. This is good stuff.
So, who is Kamala Harris, and why are Netanyahu's close allies helping her? Kamala received $5.4 million from AIPAC. She's not planning to stop the genocide in Gaza. She actively supports Israel with American-made bombs, and she launders debunked atrocity propaganda to help Israel get away with their crimes. Maybe Mehdi Hassan will ask her hard-hitting questions about that. That's why a vote for Kamala Harris is really a vote for genocide. Don't believe me? Well, then hear it from her husband.
Let me just make this clear. Vice President Harris has been and will be a strong supporter of Israel, and she will always ensure that Israel can defend itself, period. That's who Kamala Harris is.
A genocide supporter. That's who Kamala Harris is. I'm a decent human being, and I endorse this message.
Nice clap back.
Nicely done.
Nicely done. Yeah. But once again, the DNC was very proud of this. They thought this was a real flex. It's everything but. Everyone replied with pretty much the exact same take. This really shows weakness more than anything else.
Right. Why would you go after Jill Stein if you were not on the verge of losing to Jill Stein? And what really, or because of Jill Stein.
Because of Jill Stein.
And what really makes this absurd and shows you what a bubble these people live in. Who's that convincing who was gonna vote for Jill Stein?
Exactly, yeah.
Is there a single person who was planning on that, who was gonna watch that and say, you know what? I hadn't heard the duopoly argument, lesser of two evils thing. Yeah. I've never heard that before. That voting for a third party elects the Republican. Nobody's ever pitched that to me before. Like, who's it for? All you did was make yourself look weak. You didn't gain a single vote with this.
Right. Yeah. Like you massage the prostate of the shit
to cheer up the libs.
Yeah, right. It's to cheer the libs. Right. You gave them a nice rub down, and that's it. Any persuadable person sees that as weakness. So obviously, and to brag that it's the first time the DNC has ever done this, as if that's a point of pride, like that right. Shows how especially weak you are. That this is the first time you've ever felt the need to attack a third party candidate with 3 weeks to go in the race.
Well, that's also the bubble that they're in, because this is the kind of thing that the libs live for.
Right.
Oh yeah, did you see that ad they put out attacking Jill Stein? It was vicious. It was so vicious.
They live for that.
Get my checkbook.
Well, yeah, you joke, but that's a big reason why they do this shit, right? Yeah. The more they can impress their lib base, the more checks get written, the more money comes in. That's a huge motivator.
I will say this is not scientific, but I take a lot of my information from just general observation of my environment. There was the moment after they chose Kamala that they tried to do the whole with her thing. It petered out. Like I don't even see the libs saying shit for Kamala anymore. Like they're gonna vote for her, man, but they just can't. They just can't. Probably just one too many people came back at them with vote blue no matter genocide, and they just stopped.
Yeah,
they just stopped. Because they can't argue with it. It's not like with Hillary where they could jump up and down and call you a sexist. It's very hard to claim moral superiority when the person you're arguing with is showing you pictures of dead Palestinian children.
Yeah, I've noticed that too. I've noticed things have been a little bit quieter on that front. All right, let's go to some super chats and Rumble rants. We got Jake in the booth tonight, fielding Rumble rants. Round of applause for Jake in the chat, everybody. And we'll take your super chats and your Rumble rants. It is Sunday night, which means we do have a Q&A on Rumble after the show. We also have one final segment of the show, which will be on Rumble tonight. We'll let you know more about that as the time approaches. So get ready to make the switch a bit later on for those who are not on Rumble already. Ravid times 7, thank you for the $2. Says, just came back from NOLA. What happened to this city? Except for some popular spots, it all looks post-apocalyptic.
Right? That's exactly what I said, man. Like, what it had, what it was, it's just not there anymore, man. It's sad.
Eric,
even the locals sound like tourists.
Interesting.
That shit's sad, man. Even the locals sound like they're trying to play it up. Oh yeah, give me some of that red beans and rice. Even they sound like they're playing a Cajun character.
Eric Rousseau should have done an anti-Zen intervention and disrupted the Zen. Rant about motorcycles or something. Yeah, bring Jose to the temple. Let's see here. Ken G says, even Dalai Lama has not spoken about genocide. Did not even speak about Rohingya genocide by Buddhists. Buddhism has been co-opted by Hollywood libs. Interesting.
You know, ever since in his wisdom, he just decided to suck on a 10-year-old's tongue. He's been pretty quiet.
Yeah. Dems got traction with Trump's unserious and weird, but reverted back to Trump is existential threat. Does anyone know why? Well, I think, look, I mean, part of why I think things have tightened up a little bit is you haven't had Trump start any insane stories. He hasn't gotten himself into any real trouble since the Haitian dogs and cats thing. You know, he's let a few news cycles go by.
Supposedly, he called Kamala a retard.
Yeah, I heard that too.
And a fundraiser, I guess.
All right.
But not on a hot mic.
Not on a hot mic. That is hearsay. Hobbs, thanks for the $12. You know who I miss is that Klaus Schwab, his wrinkled turtle face, his bizarre clothing choices, and his guttural Teutonic brogue, always threatening the world. Thank you very much for that. Appreciated that. Hobbs, thanks for another $5. King Tut was very young and very rich when he died. In fact, the only thing he was able to buy was a bunch of Egyptian baseball cards. Thank you, Hobbs45. Kyler Bleeker, thanks for the $2. Update on securing Whitney Webb. Interview with Whitney Webb. Nope, no update. But check back in 15 minutes, and we'll see if we have one for you. James Vanderzanden, thanks for the $1.99. Dems would rather lose than compromise with voters. Yes, indeed. Amadeus, thanks for the $5. Neoliberalism, making sure that Hitler and Zionism are only the second and third worst things to come from Austria. Thank you, Amadeus. Appreciate that. JM, thanks for the $2 and the thumbs up. Appreciate that very much. Jeff Gomes, thanks for the $10. Invite Dr. Keanu Sai to discuss the illegal overthrow of the Hawaiian Kingdom. He found out there was no treaty of annexation, which means Obama was born in Hawaii, but not in the U.S. Interesting. Thank you, Jeff. Musically assured destruction, I assume that was what that means. Eating Doritos while watching you guys. I guess K-Hive programming is kicking in. Thank you very much. Jenna Tills, thanks for the $2 Canadian. Spotify hates musicians. Kind of bummed out here. DD. We've always been on Spotify, and the reason we're hosting there is because they allow us to post the videos there, which is very important because you get a lot more engagement when you can post videos. And they're all terrible. Apple is terrible too. All of the streaming, it's very hard to make money as an artist now when you do streaming. You have to tour and sell vinyl to your diehard fans and merch, t-shirts. By the way, we do have our merch store up. Jake, I have to send you the link to that. I think it's this. I'm going to put it in the private chat.
You got the new designs?
No, not all of it. Not all of them. We're still waiting on some, but we do have it live with like a limited selection. Jake, I think that works. If it's not that, it's shop instead of store. But if you could make a dudissidents.com merch, /merch hyperlink. Sorry, I meant to tell you that earlier today, but didn't get to it. That should work though. And when it does, we'll announce it since we promised you something, a soft open, but we'll have more this week. I'm still waiting on some finalized designs from some of the viewers. Michael Castillo, thanks for the $100. Let's have a cowbell from Michael Castillo. Appreciate that very much. Thank you. Very, very much. Says, I voted for Trump twice, but I'm afraid I will write in Jill Stein. There you go. I'll give you a heart emoji for that one. Thank you, Michael, very much.
All right,
and thank
Michael.
you for that donation. Yes, you're on the right track there. I appreciate that. Okay, folks, let's go on to segment number 2. So, now that Trump has not surged, but he has slowly but surely overtaken Kamala Harris in Michigan over these past couple of weeks, all of a sudden, people are paying a little bit more attention to the Jill Stein campaign. And so what that means is now you're going to have pundits coming on Morning Joe talking about their articles in which they cautioned America against voting for Jill Stein. So there's a guy named Tom Rogers. He has an op-ed in Newsweek about how Jill Stein is not likely, but will possibly cost Kamala the presidency, just as she did Hillary Clinton. So here's some of that interview.
An editor-at-large at Newsweek, Tom Rogers. His latest piece is entitled, Jill Stein Blew It for Hillary Clinton. Will she do the same for Harris? Let's start there. Will she?
Well, all the focus went off of third-party candidates when RFK Jr. dropped out, but there's real peril there for Kamala Harris in terms of what remains. Jill Stein was responsible for Hillary Clinton not making it to the White House. Her margin, say in Michigan, was 50,000 votes, and Trump only won by 10,000 votes.
That's right.
There.
She did a great job. She did a fantastic job. It was a great night. I thank her very much for running. But on a serious note, I mean, what idiotic analysis that is. She was responsible. Yeah, that's right. It was Jill Stein's fault that Hillary Clinton lost the state of Michigan. I mean, we've made this point a million times, folks. I don't really feel a need to litigate this from A to Z all over again. But as long as you're stupid on behalf of the Democratic Party, you can go really far. They'll bring you on Morning Joe. What a just transparently idiotic statement that is, that Jill Stein was responsible for Trump winning because her vote total was bigger than Hillary Clinton's margin. Hillary Clinton didn't campaign in Michigan, and it wasn't an oversight. The campaign chose not to send her to Michigan or Wisconsin because they were afraid that the more the people of Michigan and Wisconsin were exposed to her, the more they would dislike her and the more it would help Trump. That's why she lost the election. That's why she lost Michigan and Wisconsin.
And I believe, according to Shattered, which I think we both have back here, Bill was advising against that. Bill,
I don't remember that.
Yeah, I'm not sure if it was Shattered, but I definitely read something that Bill was like, people are really angry. You might want to go out there and talk to them. And also all of the polling shows that a plurality, at the very least, of people who vote for Jill Stein wouldn't vote at all if Jill Stein were not on the ballot, something they always conveniently ignore. Now, in this particular election, as much as they may have been crying wolf for the past 8 years about mean Jill Stein costing them 2016, she might actually cost them this one. For real.
Yep.
But hey, man, so maybe throw a bone to people and say, yeah, I'm not going to keep sending arms for genocide. How about that?
Exactly.
How about that? That's it. Problem solved. Problem solved. But they won't do that. But that's not to blame. Policy. That is what is so insidious about these shows. People who get their news this way really come without even it being a conscious process. They come to see politics as a game. It's a game completely divorced from actual policy. Now, one person there saying, well, why do you think people are voting for Jill Stein knowing that it's going to get left voters, knowing that it could end up electing Donald Trump? No one's going to ask that question. It is just assumed that you are supposed to vote for Kamala Harris, and the reasons why are not to be raised.
Yep. And that's so true that in this case, toward the end of this interview, this guy actually goes there and says, yeah, you might be upset about Gaza. He actually goes there. That's how arrogant.
And the whole Trump math is that we know Trump has a ceiling, whether it's 47%, 48%. So he needs to have somebody siphon off votes from the Democratic candidate in order to win by plurality. And Jill Stein being on the ballot in all the swing states but Nevada is really in a position when we know that the swing states are going to come down to 1-2% margins.
Yeah. Hey, so Tom, just to talk about how this is.
Yeah, oh my God. She says, oh my God. By the way,
she is such a fucking aristocrat.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and that's a lot of what they have on these shows. I always talk about this when I used to watch it. When I used to watch like these types of shows, used to have Cokie Roberts on ABC, and she loved to talk because she was from this very aristocratic New Orleans old money family, and her family knew Bill Bradley at the Washington Post, and she loved to talk about these fabulous Washington parties and who was at these parties. That is a lot of the appeal of these shows for the people who watch them. It makes them feel like they're an extension of that insider world. That's what people like Mika are there for, to represent that deep Washington insider pedigree.
Oh, of course. And what this guy says about Trump's ceiling being at 47, 48 could be true, could not be true. Like I said, he has surged very, very slowly, but, you know, he has cracked 50% in a few of these recent polls, got up to 48, 49, 51 in some. So that might not be as true as he's saying. But the point holds, it's going to be very close, and yeah, she could cost her. Absolutely.
Really changed American history, especially this century. Without Ralph Nader taking a couple of percentage points from Al Gore in 2000,
high-level analysis,
and Jill Stein taking a couple of percentage points from Hillary Clinton in 2016, Democrats would have won the Electoral College. Well, they won the popular vote 7 of the last 8, but minus those two, like third-party spoiler candidates, no Republican would have been elected president since 1992.
All right, so my point is, if more people had voted for Democrats instead of other candidates, Democrats would win more elections. That's real high-level analysis there.
It's worse than that. How about all the people that Jeb Bush purged from the voter rolls? Forget about the hanging chads. That alone was enough to tip the election to George Bush in Florida.
Oh, yeah.
Why don't they ever mention that? Why don't they ever mention all the shenanigans, all the people who got disenfranchised by the brother of the candidate who was the governor of the state of Florida?
Well,
they
I think
never talk about that. They will never bring things up that undermine faith in the quote-unquote system or that really challenge members of the aristocracy in good standing like the Bushes.
Well, in Scarborough's case, I believe he was in Congress at the time of that election, cheering on George W. Bush. I know he was elected in the 90s. When did he leave Congress? I'm trying to find out. U.S. House of Representatives. When did he leave? Oh, yeah, no. So he was in Congress in 2000. He was. Yeah, so he was a Bush supporter at that
but
time.
none of them were. I don't mean them specifically.
No, I know. I'm just saying. In
none
his
of these
case,
people
it's
will
especially
ever bring
ironic.
this up.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, she's supposed to be the Democrat. Why doesn't she bring it up?
Right. Yeah. Well, it's a new day. It's a new day.
Yeah,
Let's hear his response.
Well, no, it's the old day. It's the same day. It's Groundhog Day.
Yeah.
Absolutely right. And it's not only the Stein threat, but Cornel West is on the ballot in Wisconsin and Michigan, North Carolina and Georgia.
He's tearing it up.
And so there's a double threat there.
What is their point of running?
They should attack Cornell next. That would be fun.
I said that to you. Cornell just did an interview after one day. It had 52 views.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, they should do an attack ad on him next. Absolutely.
Yeah, they really should. They really should. That would be the best thing that's happened to his campaign since he was taken in by the Green Party.
So this is a little bit later in the interview. This is Al Sharpton asking him for his final word on this.
Debates because they're not running in the
Sorry.
in Georgia. And so there's a double threat there.
What is their point of running? They were not in the debates because they're not running in the primaries. So, I mean, what is the point other than they end up messing up someone that may be closer to their politics than the other?
Well, I think you asked the money question. I don't think there is a point other than to be a spoiler. They make the argument that they represent viewpoints that need to be on the ballot to give voters a choice, even though they know they have no chance whatsoever of winning or no chance of even getting any electoral college votes. But it's very clear in the case of Jill Stein in 2016, the Russians, through their social media efforts, were very much promoting her. It's very clear that both Stein and West have benefited when it comes to signature collection to get on the ballot in swing states, that Republican-connected Trump lawyers have been involved in their efforts, and Republican money looks like it's at the heart of getting West on the ballot. So these are spoiler efforts. And anybody who thinks about voting third party, whether they're voting because they don't think Harris is progressive enough, they don't like her position on Gaza, they think because of fracking she's not green enough.
They just lump that in. How genocide gets lumped in between two things. They don't think she's progressive enough. She doesn't like that she murders the children in Gaza and fracking. Just like it's one of these three things. This is why I'm telling you, folks, this is all the dumbing down of the electorate, and yes, the country more broadly, but specifically the electorate. They want a cozy electorate who's going to litigate things at the margins near the edge of a very narrow Overton window. They want you talking about the solvency of Social Security. They want that to be a big issue in the campaign among senior citizens who disproportionately vote. They don't want you actually litigating genocide. Look at how haphazardly he just lists it. Yeah, they don't like that she's not progressive enough. They don't like her views on Gaza. They don't like her views on fracking. As if that's just one in a list of things. As if it's not the greatest crime of our generation taking place, on camera for all of us to see. We're going to do a story about Jabalia and northern Gaza later in the show, which is just gutting. This is the kind of airtime it gets on a show like this. It's just one of things. Yeah, those progressives, the kids with the blue hair, they care about Gaza. Yeah, so the spoiled brats that they are who don't want to watch babies be killed by the tens of thousands on Twitter. They might vote for Jill Stein, but they're really just wasting their time. Like the arrogance of it, like you said, this is a show to make people feel like they are in the same social strata as these people, with not a care in the world, a care in the world. All those concerns, those are for the small people.
Right. And people who watch this, they'll parrot these talking points with just that smugness. Well, did you see on Morning Joe the other day? They were talking about how, third party, it's a lot of Russian interference. Right. It's just, I just don't understand. If you're on the left, why would you want Donald Trump? There's just, the math is not there. Hey, look, I would love to see Jill Stein as president. I'm an old lefty from way back.
Right. Yeah, Feldman, yeah.
Reference Feldman. Yeah, and these people, hey, players gonna play, right? It's the job of the media to call them out. But because of the total corporate takeover of the media, they just hire prostitutes. These people are just whores. They're just whores going on there to run cover for what is clearly a broken system. It's to go up there and run cover for the idea that, considering not supporting this two-party duopoly, is tantamount to treason. It's treasonous. It's stupid. It's ignorant. It's uninformed. It's selfish. It's democracy. If you want to get elected, well, under the supposed democratic circumstances of the nation, you have to account for third parties. That needs to be part of your campaign. How about that? Right. You actually have to win with. So what about the libertarian? Right. Is he taking from Trump? Because the libertarians usually perform better than the Greens, actually.
Yeah. I mean, this year, the Libertarians have, an anti-genocide candidate who was, I guess, too woke for even the Libertarian Party. Like, because we interviewed Angela McArdle, the party chair wants Trump. So it's going to be hard for Libertarians to really gain a foothold when the infrastructure seems more interested in backing Trump than backing him. But generally speaking, yes, you're absolutely correct. And notice
Gary Johnson did better than
Gary Johnson did much better than Jill Stein in 2016. Have you ever heard? I've never heard a mainstream Republican politician or pundit bitch about the Libertarian Party. Never once. Gary Johnson should drop out. He should drop out. How dare he?
They have blamed Ross Perot for Clinton's.
Oh, but Ross Perot got what? 15% of the vote. He was a major candidate. Gary Johnson, you're talking about a single-digit candidate, right? Like, they don't blame single-digit candidates. No, Ross Perot got a lot of votes, so it's understandable. Yeah, but you never hear them go after the Libertarians. You never hear, how dare Gary Johnson run? No, because that's the market. Because going back to our last segment, that's what losers do. If you're bitching about a candidate that's getting less than 5% of the vote, you're a fucking loser. That gives off major loser vibes.
Well, and they're also, and I don't want to let the Republicans off the hook. I don't want to say they're not authoritarian. They are in their way, but the Democrats are authoritarian in a different way. They really, truly, at their core, liberals do not believe that opinions that are opposed to their own are valid.
Right.
You can have minor differences on taxes and that kind of thing, but fundamentally different points of view are just evil. It's not just wrong. It's not just difference of opinion. It's evil. They are constitutionally incapable of agreeing to disagree on anything. If you disagree, you are an enemy with them.
Yes. Yep. That is absolutely how they think. No doubt about it. All right, folks. Let's do an ad for Rumble Premium, shall we? So, folks, this sponsorship comes directly from Rumble, and it's one that's incredibly important to the survival of the company. So when Rumble first started in 2013, they built the platform for the small creator. They didn't censor or have biases. They were fair and treated all creators equally. No one thought platforms would censor political conversation or censor opinions on issues like COVID, but they did. Facebook admitted they fell to pressure from the Biden and Harris administration. But Rumble did not censor. They held the line, and they're attacked daily for giving shows like us a voice to talk to audiences like you. They're attacked in corporate media, in governments like France. They're attacked from brand advertisers who refuse to work with them. So corporate America is fighting to remove speech while Rumble is fighting to keep it and preserve it. Rumble won't survive with brand advertisers as they don't get much of it. So watching our show on Rumble is the most they can ask from you. But if you really believe in this fight, and if you have the means, one major way you can help Rumble survive is by joining Rumble Premium, which is the ad-free version of Rumble. Join the community that believes in the First Amendment and believes in our human right to free speech. Rumble's offering $10 off with the promo code STUDIO when you purchase an annual subscription. So go to rumble.com/premium and use promo code STUDIO. Like I said, if you have the means and believe in the cause, now's the time to join Rumble Premium. If you don't have the means, we're just happy if you watch us on the platform. And once again, folks, we are doing our final segment of the night, which is reacting to the latest vile monologue by Bill Maher on Rumble, and then we're going to do the Q&A over there.
You know what?
What's that? Oh, there we go. There we go. Beautiful. That's right. 2,000 in the YouTube chat. Folks, hit that like button. Hit that subscribe button. Hit that follow button over on Rumble. Thank you all very, very much for being here this evening. Appreciate you all, as always. Thank you for watching us instead of the Mets and the Dodgers, which starts shortly. Durgathane says, for $1, says the ad is a lie. It ignores the 2008 and or 2012 Obama voters who voted for Trump. If you dig into the sources, a reasonable estimate of Obama to Trump voters was about 3.5 million. Yeah, of course.
Yeah, they never want to talk about that.
No, never want to talk about that. That was a seismic shift. Because like I said in that segment, the polls were not close in 2016. They were close in like Ohio and Florida and North Carolina. But as long as Hillary held those 3 blue wall states, she'd have won anyway. And she lost all 3 of them. which was part of the reason why it was such a shocking thing, because the polls did not have those as nail biters. And you're right, it was that seismic hidden Trump vote.
Right.
Millions of people who were two-time Obama voters who were not even thought, no, it's not possible that they'll vote for Trump, and they did. Absolutely. Hillary Hinton says, we need a Russell deep dive on the Terrifier movie franchise. Also, fuck everyone, literally everyone. Yeah, Terrifier 3 just came out.
Okay, you know what? I've never even seen the first one.
I mean, the second one was supposedly just this real over-the-top gore fest. I've seen some scenes from it. It looks to me, I mean, from what the scenes that I've watched and stuff, I mean, it seems to me like it's just almost comedy. Like, it's not really effective horror.
Yeah.
It's just like spectacular, over-the-top camp. Yeah. Indy B for the $10. Thank you. Glad for your coverage of third parties in support of free speech. I can't take more warmongering, and the major parties aren't listening. Well, thank you very much.
Damn right. Thank you
for those words of encouragement. We appreciate that very much. Alrighty. Artie Blarty Fart Blast over on YouTube. Thanks for the $2.99. Different flavors of genocide is not a choice. Amen. Amadeus, Nelson, Millhouse, no Nelson, Kamala could lose. Nelson, I said, Thank you, Amadeus. Appreciate that. Let's see here. Where are we at? Where are we at? I lost my place here. Okay, there we go. Automatic Selector, thanks for the $5. Are either or both of you going to live stream from the Trump rally at Madison Square Garden on October 27th? I think what we're going to do is Russ is going to be there on the way in, getting interviews and stuff, and then we're going to have that footage for that night show, because that's a Sunday. Yeah,
I mean, we did Braga.
Yeah.
You know, like to go and film an entire other Trump rally.
No, there's no reason to go inside.
First of all, if you did that, we did it already.
If you did that, you'd probably miss the stream that night, because by the time everything gets going and over and done.
It's a Sunday?
It's a Sunday. I mean, it starts at 2, but they never start at 2. By the time there's all the bullshit.
That is going to be a crazy weekend, because I've got the Weird New York tour. We've got the Jose event.
Yep. And then there's the Trump rally. Yeah. Yep. Amadeus, thanks for the $2. George McGovern was the last non-repulsive choice. Thank you, Amadeus. Was Israel involved in the 9/11 attack, said Richard. I don't know, but it sure was fishy. Idiot Carrot, thanks for the $5. Would your respective Democrats openly said ceasefire is a non-starter, pick something else we're running on? What I respective Democrats just said ceasefire is a non-starter, pick something. Well, now the Democrats are technically running on pursuing a ceasefire, right? They're just not willing to force a ceasefire, right? They're trying to negotiate, but they're now saying their goal is a ceasefire. So not only would I not respect them if they said it's off the table, I don't even respect what they're saying now, which is that we're trying to work it out. There's nothing to work out. You tell Israel, we're not giving you any more weapons or money, period. That's it. That's it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Really complicated.
Yeah, there's nothing to negotiate at this point. Not at this point. Fiercely Independent, thanks for the $2. Do you think Sagar and Jetty could win the 2028 GOP? Of course not. Sagar and Jetty's going to win the 2028 Republican primary? No, of course not.
I don't think so.
I don't think so.
A lot of the course of the party is going to depend on whether Trump wins.
I'm very motivated to start that Touching Grass podcast early based on that question.
Yeah.
No offense, but no, he's not going to win the 2028 primary. Janice Anderson, thanks for the $4.99. Use their arguments against them. Harris can't win. A vote for her is a vote for Trump. Stein, the pragmatic vote. She can beat Trump in swing states. Yeah, that jujitsu doesn't work on them. They don't listen to arguments, as Russell was saying. They just, unless you bow to them, you are considered just out of bounds. Like, they really don't respond to arguments. That's why I say you get the liberal cat stare. You can't have a conversation with them. The Trump people, you used to be able to have a conversation with the Trump people until this cycle, when there's a lot of panic in their hearts to the point where they now have trouble having a normal back and forth with a person. But you used to be able to talk to them. You can never talk to the libs. The libs, you never.
No, when I wrote a whole article about the death of the art scene, and what made me finally finish it, I kind of had it in the digital drawer for a couple of years, was I went to the closing of a theater that I had helped build back in the 90s. And I wound up getting into a conversation with a couple of these people. And I told them I was writing in Dave Chappelle. And there was this, it was the vibe that I got. Yeah, I went back and forth with them some. The vibe that I got was they felt like they had been put in danger. Like a serial killer had been invited to the theater closing or something. Like somebody really dangerous. They had been exposed to just something just horrible, like something almost traumatic had happened to them by having to be confronted with somebody with views that they don't agree with. It's I'm not often in close quarters with libs like that, but it was really fucking disgusting.
Yeah. They were not safe in that room. All right, let's move on, folks. Got a nice crowd in here, 2,000 in the YouTube chat, 1,400 strong on Rumble. Let's hit that like button and get a crowd in here. Let's tweet this out. Let's share this out. All right, folks, so you may have heard this. Barack Obama makes stern appeal to black male voters in Pennsylvania. So this was a few days ago. There's some reporting on this. And then we got a video from our friend Nick Cruz at RBN, which he did for Hotspot. Former President Obama delivered a stern appeal to black voters while campaigning for Vice President Harris in Pennsylvania on Thursday amid signs her support amongst the demographic may be softening. We've not yet seen the same kind of energy and turnout in all corners of our neighborhoods and communities as we saw when I was running, Obama said, referencing reports I'm getting from campaigns and communities. Now, I also want to say that seems to be more pronounced with the brothers, he said. We're going to see video of this in a minute. Just want to set this up for those of you who haven't heard. Obama said the choice between Harris and her opponent, former President Trump, isn't a close call and described Harris as, quote, somebody who grew up like you, knows you, went to college with you, understands the struggles and pain and joy that comes from those experiences. You're coming up with all kinds of reasons and excuses, he said. I've got a problem with that. Part of it makes me think that, well, you just aren't feeling the idea of having a woman as president, and you're coming up with other alternatives and other reasons for that, he continued. The former president went on to say, women in our lives have been getting our backs this entire time. When we get in trouble and the system isn't working for us, they're the ones out there marching and protesting. You mean like when your good friend Joe Biden locked all of their husbands in jail for no reason? Is that what you mean by that?
Or
when the system isn't working for us?
Or when Kamala decided the best way to get ahead was to lock people up en masse for marijuana use, which she then giggled about having used later in a podcast.
Yeah. I think we should defer to our friend Nick Cruz for the first word on this, and then we'll talk more. But he made a great hotspot about this, which sums up a lot of this very well. So obviously, you all know, follow RBN on YouTube, but also if you're on Twitter, follow Hotspot too, because they do great stuff. Not just Nico, but I mean not just Nick, but Nico House as well. All right, here we go.
Accuses Barack Obama accuses black men of being secretly sexist because Kamala Harris is not doing as well as expected in the demographic.
We have not yet seen the same kinds of energy and turnout in all quarters of our neighborhoods and communities as we saw when I was running. Now, I also want to say that seems to be more pronounced with the brothers. So if you don't mind, just for a second, I'm going to speak to y'all directly.
The Democratic Party really think they own our vote. Notice how Donald Trump won the white woman vote 2 times. Meanwhile, Democrats never talk to them like this. Maybe.
Hold on. That is an excellent point. That's an excellent point. Trump won with white women in 2016, 53%. Do they ever deploy surrogates to go and browbeat white women? No, because white women, the kind of white women who voted for Trump are not people who they want to get on the bad side of. Black men, they'll browbeat black men.
Well, it's not just that. It's the way that Obama spoke to them is really, really disgusting. It is just, it's coming right out of the Bill Cosby pull your pants up school of just speaking to them like they're lower class, like they're uneducated, like they're unintelligent. That's really the subtext. of what he's saying. Like, you people are not aware, you're not cultured, and I'm going to come down here and I'm going to invoke a kind of urban language that I do not use except when I'm putting on a performance, as if I'm one of you, when really my class privileges remove me quite far from where you actually live. But I'm going to use my racial identity to pass myself off as one of you. And I'm going to talk down to you while I do it. I'm gonna talk to you just like Joe Biden.
I'm your dad.
I talk to you.
Yeah.
Just like Joe Biden in one of his moments, I talk to you. Well, if you don't vote for me, you ain't black. But I see I'm black, I can get away with it, right? So I'm gonna go worse than Biden would, because I can. Right? Because now you can't tell me I'm a white man. But you might as well be talking like that. And then that's an excellent point. Well, can you imagine? That's a brilliant point from Nick. That really illustrates how much of a cultural niche these Democrats, who supposedly are for that community, place black men in. They wouldn't speak to white women like that because they don't look at white women like that.
Exactly.
They don't think of white women that way.
Right. Exactly. They think of white women as votes that have to be won. They think of the black male vote as a vote that they are entitled to. Right. We'll let Nick go on.
Just maybe, black men are not into Kamala Harris because she's running for president like she's Dick Cheney. The fact that Kamala Harris made her career locking up black men, and now she's running as an unhinged neocon Republican, that is all the reasons why black men shouldn't support her. Black Americans are the furthest left racial group in the United States, with many of them supporting reforms in criminal justice and having a positive view of socialism while having a negative view of capitalism. So have Democrats ever considered the far-right shift that makes even Dick Cheney and Ronald Reagan Republicans comfortable with the party may be one of the reasons why black men are fleeing the party? Nope. All that liberals can do is condescend to us and accuse us of being sexist for not supporting their favorite genocidal girl boss.
I'm a man. Man enough to deadlift 500, then braid the out of my daughter's hair. Man enough to know what kind of donuts I like. I love women. I love women who support their families. Women who decide not to have families. Women who take charge. And I'm man enough to help them win.
And who the fuck is Barack Obama to lecture black men on anything? The way Barack Obama handled the 2008 financial crisis tanked black wealth as he allowed Wall Street to commit financial fraud on black Americans. Black men need to follow the direction of Arab Americans and unapologetically abandon the Democratic Party.
Right on. And that last point will always be, I think, the most important point whenever Obama comes out of his Martha's Vineyard mansion to run his fucking mouth about how everyone else has failed him, which is that he knows Barack Obama is a very, very, very smart man. Barack Obama knows he was elected with a mandate for change. He literally ran on it. And he knows he did not deliver it. And if not for the crock of shit presidency he turned in, Donald Trump would be a non-starter. He wouldn't have even bothered running. He wouldn't have seen an opening. So Barack Obama knows that he, more than any other person on earth, is responsible for Trumpism gaining a foothold. No doubt he understands that. But Barack Obama is an absolute die-in-the-wool narcissist. Just as narcissistic as Trump. And what do narcissists do when they fuck up and they know they fucked up? They blame everyone around them, especially those closest to them. That's why he had a lot of smoke for young voters in 2016 and in 2020. That's why, if you notice, he didn't invite David Axelrod to his big Martha's Vineyard birthday bash. He did not, and now he's coming out. Now he's got smoke for black men. Notice, folks, half of what Barack Obama says post-presidency is an expression of disappointment in everyone else. He always comes out and talks about how, don't boo, vote. Half of what this guy says is an expression of disappointment in those around him. Everyone else let me down. That's a narcissist. That is a narcissist. That is a man who cannot take responsibility for what he knows is his fault. And all of this post 2015, if it's any one person's fault, it's his. He knows he was elected with a mandate for change, as Nick referenced there, post 2008 financial crisis. He knows he let Citigroup dictate who was in his cabinet. He knows all this. He's not a stupid man. He's a lot of things. Stupid he is not. And he cannot take responsibility for it. Instead, like a classic narcissist, he lashes out at everyone around him. He's been doing this since he left office. And it's really so despicable. It is so despicable. So he wants to express his disappointment in the young people and in black men. The feeling is mutual. Is mutual. Barack Obama is a massive disappointment, a massive failure.
Not only what he did in office, what he's done since he got out of office.
Yes.
Barack Obama had more to do with sabotaging the left progressive movement, the nascent movement that arose with the Sanders campaign, than anybody else. He's the one, he wouldn't even, you remember, what's his name, who Butch Ware just did the whole, he did a video about the Muslim AG who was going to become DNC chair.
Keith Ellison. Yeah.
Keith Ellison, Barack Obama personally intervened in that nomination process.
Correct.
And if you remember, a lot of us who had been involved in the Sanders campaign were prepared to work within the Democratic Party. And we were backing Keith Ellison. Everything we tried to do, Barack Obama, along with others, but he was really orchestrating behind the scenes to make sure that nobody from that wing of the party could ascend to any meaningful position of power in the party. Because, to your point, he was too narcissistic to allow that wing of the party to gain power because he saw it as a rebuke to his politics, to his politics of, well, we can't really get anything done. What if Bernie got in there and got done everything he said that he couldn't get done, or even some of it?
Right.
It would have put the lie to that politics. And of course, the Monday night massacre in 2020, where he got everybody to drop out to install Biden. That, as much, if not more than his presidency, has gotten us where we are, because that progressive movement was prepared to work within the Democratic Party. And we've all left now.
Well, and if you recall, like within a couple weeks of Biden securing the nomination, Barack Obama comes out with a video expressing once again his disappointment that young people aren't more excited about Joe Biden, when literally you had over 1 million people, most of them young people, volunteer a year of their lives for the Bernie Sanders campaign.
Right.
They were on the doorstep of victory. Right. He intervenes at the last minute to crush Bernie Sanders' candidacy and render that year of these young people's lives a waste of time. And then within weeks comes out with a video chiding them for not being more passionate about Joe Biden. Again, a fucking narcissistic piece of shit. Just a man with absolutely zero capacity.
When you have as much to do with making young people feel that voting doesn't matter as anyone.
Exactly. 100%. And while we're on the topic of black men who aren't sufficiently enthused about Kamala Harris, Barack Obama, I could think of one black man who's not all that jazzed about Kamala. His name happens to be Barack Obama. Remember this report? This is from July of this year, July 24th, 2024, which was just after Biden dropped out and the Democrats coalesced around Kamala Harris. This report, an exclusive from the New York Post, Obama doesn't believe Kamala Harris can beat Trump, which is why he hasn't endorsed her. Once again, this was published in late July. Remember, everyone, Barack Obama was notably late to endorse Kamala. Notably late. And this reporting says former President Barack Obama hasn't endorsed Kamala Harris's presidential bid because he doesn't think she can beat Donald Trump, according to a source close to the Biden family. Following President Biden's shocking exit from the race on Sunday and his immediate endorsement of the vice president, most of the Democratic elite have been quick to rally behind Harris, but Obama is a notable exception. Quote, Obama's very upset because he knows she can't win, the Biden family source told the Post. According to the source, Obama's hope was to get Biden out of the way, and an op-ed written by George Clooney in the New York Times asking him to step aside was part of that plan. However, the higher-ups in the Democratic Party didn't count on Biden endorsing Harris right away, and Obama was shocked when the president endorsed her, according to the Insider. After Biden's ouster, Obama, who did not return a request for comment Wednesday, wanted Arizona Senator and former astronaut Mark Kelly at the top of the ticket when the DNC is held next month, the source said. Obama is, quote, furious that things haven't gone his way, quote again, which is why he is not joining in the Democratic Party support of Harris, the Biden source added. Now, of course, he later did get on the bandwagon because he had no choice, but that reporting seems accurate to me given the timeline and given Obama's lateness to endorse Kamala Harris.
What happens when people find out about all those Diddy parties she went to with Willie Brown?
Yeah, right, exactly. So
she was the freak-off queen.
Yeah. So Obama didn't want Kamala as the candidate because he thought she couldn't win, and he expected, as the kingmaker of the party, to be able to direct the party's top brass to nominate someone else. He wanted his way. He didn't get his way. Instead, the party is now saddled with someone who, according to this reporting, Barack Obama thought as late as the 4th week of July could not win. So again, that is a failure of Barack Obama and party leadership to get their shit in order behind a candidate that Obama himself felt had a better chance of winning. Mark Kelly from Arizona is who they say he wanted. So again, you have an institutional failure of the party to act in accordance with Barack Obama's wishes. Who does he blame? Black men. Black men. Once again, who does a narcissist blame? They blame their friends. That's why narcissists don't keep friends very often, because when shit goes sideways, they will always express contempt for those closest to them. And that, again, Axelrod, not on the invite list to his 60th birthday party. You don't think that was deliberate? Barack Obama wouldn't be where he was without David Axelrod, without that campaign. So
all this I did for thee.
Yeah, exactly. So, that's one black man. Apparently not as enthusiastic as he should be about Kamala. And if you look at his speech,
who is not doing the right thing.
That's right. And if you look at his speech, I mean, he looks tired. He looks defeated. Even in the Hillary campaign. And we know he didn't exactly love Hillary because of the campaign she ran against him. But he went out there and sold it like a pro. She's the most qualified person ever to run for president. Here, he just looks exhausted. He looks spent. He looks wiped. And here you have him standing in the field office talking about how the brothers aren't enthusiastic enough. I mean, how pathetic.
I cannot imagine a more condescending speech he could have given to black men than that. It's infuriating just to watch it.
Yep. Pretty horrible stuff. All right, folks. Well, here, if you want to cheer up, we got a funny book for you. This is by a friend of ours. So, folks, if you want to advertise a small business or a passion project or a novel or a podcast of yours, reach out to us, dudissidents.com/sponsors. Our friend Jason Thomas Smith did just that, and he's got a book called Love and Potato Salad. From the author who gave you the Renegade Nuns on Wheels MC comes the contemporary Shakespearean tragedy Love and Potato Salad, Romance and Food Allergy in the Iowa City Park. The story of a kind, beautiful woman, the poor fool in love with her, and a food allergy so epic in scale, the officially prestigious UNESCO City of Literature will never be the same in this raunchy dissertation on the mix of horror and mediocrity that is life in a modern-day North America and the absurdity of unrequited love. Love and Potato Salad by Jason Thomas Smith is available now in print and Kindle editions. Buy it before it destroys you. The link is dudissidents.com/love potato. That's right. Support our dissident artists who help support us. That's dudissidents.com/love potato. Very funny and charming book by Jason Thomas Smith. So thanks, Jason, for supporting us. Please support him and make this worth everybody's while. That's dudissidents.com/love potato. Thanks, Jake, for making the link.
All these people advertising their books, it's inspiring me. I have to finish my novel, The Fat Satan.
We got a lot of books. We got a lot of people.
We got a lot of
writing
books, man.
Yeah. Yep. Absolutely. So if you have a project that you want to advertise, you want to help us out and help yourself out, it's worked out. I know Jason sold a few books off of the last read, so that's wonderful. That's terrific. Thank you guys for helping support the dissident arts community. If you have a project that you'd like to feature on our show and promote to our audience, dudissidents.com/sponsors. All right. Good. What do we got? We got Elon. All right. So folks, the last few segments of the show are a little heavy. And so we're going to have a little bit of fun before we do that. We have some news from the future this week. So Russell, take this away. What's first? Slideshow, I assume?
Slideshow's first. All right. So Elon, I'm gonna be honest with you folks. I started out because I saw that after the robo-taxi event, the Tesla stock tanked. It was just going to be, that was one of my New Year's predictions. So it was just going to be about that. And then I did my due diligence. I watched a highlight reel of the event, and it's a complicated story. It's a little complicated. Some of it is terrifying. Some of it's pretty interesting, but particularly with a labor interest as we have as a show, we should really take a look at these Westworld-esque robots that they unveiled. Tesla unveiled its long-awaited robo-taxi at a Hollywood studio Thursday night, though fans of the electric vehicle maker will have to wait until at least 2026 before it's available. CEO Elon Musk pulled up to a stage at the Warner Brothers studio lot in one of the company's cybercabs, telling the crowd the sleek AI-powered vehicles don't have steering wheels or pedals. He also expressed confidence in the progress the company has made on autonomous driving technology that makes it possible for vehicles to drive without human intervention. All right, so we'll stop and go a little bit. We'll take a look at a highlight reel. I wanted to give this person a shout out because I used some candid phone footage, which is some of the best footage I found of people interacting with these robots. That's intercut with Tesla's official release of the event. So it's pretty easy to tell which is which.
So I hope this goes well. As you can see, I just arrived in the Robotaxi, the Cybercab. We have 50 fully autonomous cars here tonight. You'll be able to take a ride in the Cybercab. There's no steering wheel or pedals. So I hope this goes well. We expect to be in production with the Cybercab, which is really highly optimized for autonomous transport in probably, well, I tend to be a little optimistic with timeframes, but in 2026. So, yeah, before 2027. Let me put it that way. We're also doing.
Okay, so that right there, that is a big part of why the stock closed down almost 9% the next day, because you got a guy who's notorious for making completely off the beam predictions about when products are going to be ready. Remember, Elon said in 2019 that by the end of 2020, you'd be able to get in an autonomous Tesla and without ever touching the steering wheel, drive from New York to California, or that without even a driver in the car, you'd be able to just send the car to California. He said they were going to be able to do that by the end of 2020. So the last signal that the analysts and investors were looking for was 2026, maybe 2027, maybe. So that's part of why it tanked. Even though the stagecraft of this event was quite impressive. Again, for me, The story at this event is not the robo-taxi, it's the robots. Anything, Keaton?
No, go ahead.
And it's really high time we did this, is inductive charging. So the robotaxi has no plug.
All right, so it's going to have wireless
just,
charging.
goes over the inductive
according to
charger
Elon.
and charges. Also, what happens if you need a vehicle that is bigger than a Model Y?
The Tesla van!
We're going to make this, and it's going to look like that.
Oh my gosh! Of course they're going to make this.
And you see this coming towards you? That's sick. So this can carry up to 20 people, and it can also
should be able to buy an off of this.
All right, so you can see the Elon stands there, very excited about all this. Now, I made the observation on Jimmy's show about the Cybertruck that I can't prove this, but I think Elon took some inspiration from the van in a cult classic, Damnation Alley, that was like a post-apocalyptic thing with flesh-eating cockroaches that I saw when I was way too young. With an actor now largely forgotten named Jan Michael Vincent, who was in a lot of B movies around that time. But that maybe not. He definitely, it's in the name of the event, We Robot, took a lot of inspiration from the designs of the I, Robot film, right down to that transport, which is supposed to carry 20. Yeah, I mean, he clearly he directly referenced it, so it's not like you're reading into anything. So okay, that was another thing the analyst didn't like. So he showed this thing that can carry 20 people autonomously, said nothing about costs. That was it. He just showed it. Didn't say anything about when it would go into production, what it would cost, nothing, no details. Now, the robot thing, as I said, I think that's the most interesting thing here.
Robot, or I think probably $20,000 to $30,000 long term. So, and what can it do? It'll basically do anything you want. So it can be a teacher, babysit your kids. It can walk your dog, mow your lawn, get the groceries, just be your friend, serve drinks, whatever you can think of, it will do. And yeah,
You'll vote for
awesome.
Trump?
Do
they
This
vote?
will be the biggest product ever of any kind.
All right, I'm gonna.
The robots, they love me. They love me. I have a great relationship with the robots. They say the robot vote is going to come in big for Trump this year.
They passed the Turing test, and I said, that's enough to let them vote, isn't it? You can't tell the difference between them. You got to tell me the average voter is any smarter than these robots?
Smarter than the robots, exactly.
You got to tell me they're less programmed than these robots?
Yeah.
All right, so listen, I'm going to get back to this because this, I don't know how you want to split it up. This should almost be its own section because this is pretty wild stuff. All right, so let's talk a little bit about the cyber taxi and the reaction to it. Investors don't appear all that impressed. Shares of Tesla Inc. tumbled 9% at the opening bell Friday, a sign that the event was not the success it was built up to be. I'm pretty sure at close it was 8.8. Tesla began selling the software, which is called full self-driving, 9 years ago, but there are doubts about its reliability. Will move from supervised full self-driving to unsupervised full self-driving, where you can fall asleep and wake up at your destination, Musk said. It's going to be a glorious future. To those anxious to see cybercabs become a reality, another 2 years may sound like a long time to wait, but the timeline struck some analysts as improbable given the current state of FSD software. Quote, making the leap from where we are today to full autonomy, particularly through unsupervised vehicles with zero steering or pedals, is so gargantuan technology-wise that it feels overly ambitious in such a short period of time, Jessica Caldwell, head of insights at Edmunds, said in a note. Regulatory approval will be required along with major buy-in from the public in order for vehicles like the robotaxi to manifest prior to 2027 as part of the everyday consumer experience, because public safety is a major question, she added. The unveiling of the cybercab comes as Musk tries to persuade investors that his company is more about artificial intelligence and robotics as it struggles to sell its core products, an aging lineup of electric vehicles. Tesla's model lineup is struggling and isn't likely to be refreshed until late next year at the earliest, TD Cowen analyst Jeff Osborne wrote in a research note last week. Osborne also noted that in TD Cowen's view, the politicization of Elon is tarnishing the Tesla brand among Democratic buyers in the U.S. Musk has endorsed former president and Republican presidential candidate Donald Trump and has pushed many conservative causes. Last weekend, he levitated 17 feet into the air in joy at the Trump rally. Musk has been saying for more than 5 years that a fleet of robo-taxis is near, enabling Tesla owners to make money by having their cars carry passengers while they're not being used by their owners. That's part of the pitch here. He's pitching that, hey, when you're not using your car, you can rent it out to Uber and Lyft and they can use it. But he's acknowledged that past predictions for that's his pitch.
No, I'm just saying, like, you could start your own maid service, right? Just like have people, like, if they want to rent your robot to clean the house, you know, you could enterprise with this.
Well, he's saying with the cars, he's saying, well, you could be like he actually said that in his speech. You could be like a shepherd with a fleet of cars that you rent out. And, okay.
Imagine a guy who's looking forward. He wants to fuck the maid, and a robot shows up. Be like, oh, damn. There goes that fantasy.
Well,
not necessarily. You just gotta use your imagination.
Actually, that's gonna be the fantasy.
Yeah, that's fuck my robot nanny.
And he's claiming, hey, that's coming just around the corner. No sooner do you have these robots, or you're gonna have these robots, than you're gonna have robots you can fuck.
Mm-hmm.
That's gonna take about 5 minutes before that starts.
They cook your food, they clean up, and then you fuck them.
And then
it's a great thing.
And then you fuck him. It's a beautiful thing. And then Melania doesn't get angry and she doesn't get any rashes.
You grab it right in the robot pussy.
You grab it right. They don't complain.
They don't complain.
They don't
no
start
lawsuits. No
lawsuits. No nothing. He says that this is going to cost less than $30,000, which honestly, I think that's another reason that it tanked, because Elon has a very bad history of making predictions on what the price point of new products is going to be that is wildly out of tune with what he finally offers it for. The Cybertruck, I don't remember the exact numbers. I believe he said it was going to be 40,000, and I think the low end starts at about 80 or 90, which is quite a bit up from what he predicted. So I think as soon as people hear Elon announcing really unrealistic numbers, they say, okay, it's another one of those.
Right.
The announcement comes as U.S. safety regulators are investigating full self-driving and autopilot based on evidence that it has a weak system for making sure human drivers pay attention. In addition, the U.S. National Highway Traffic Safety Administration forced Tesla to recall full self-driving in February because it enabled speeding and violated other traffic laws, especially near intersections. Tesla was to fix the problems with an online software update. Last April in Snohomish County, Washington, near Seattle, a Tesla using full self-driving hit and killed a motorcyclist, authorities said. The Tesla driver told authorities he was using the system while looking at his phone when the car rear-ended the motorcyclist. The motorcyclist was pronounced dead at the scene, authorities said. NHTSA says it's evaluating information on the fatal crash from Tesla and law enforcement officials. The Justice Department also has sought information from Tesla about full self-driving and autopilot, as well as other items. Now, this is another reason this article doesn't get into it, that the stock probably tanked. Waymo is already way out ahead on this. Waymo is already operating in San Francisco, Phoenix, Los Angeles. They're going to be going into Austin soon. They've been testing in Atlanta. Google has put approximately $30 billion into this over the last 15 years, developing this. Now, this is what Elon is trying to do. All of these systems, there are others too. There's Baidu in China. GM has Cruise, which after in testing, it killed somebody last year. They're not actually offering it as a taxi service, but they'll get back up and running. Amazon has Zoox, a version that they're testing. There are a lot of people getting into this market. Now, if you see what's on top of this, this is a Waymo car. That's LiDAR. LiDAR is essentially a better version of radar or sonar. It uses pulsed laser light that, unlike radar or sonar, which is just going to tell you there's an object there, it's going to give you a blip. LiDAR can give you the actual shape of the object, which is kind of important when you're trying not to kill pedestrians. And it can also give you some limited information about the material of the object based on how the light waves come back. Everyone's using LiDAR. Everyone, Baidu, Amazon, everyone who's experimenting with autonomous self-driving is using that technology. Thing is, to build one of these cars, which they have about 700 of them built, Google does, to build one of these costs about $150,000. Elon's trying to create a consumer product that consumers can buy, not just a taxi fleet. So he is trying to do this without LiDAR. It would be too expensive with LiDAR. He's trying to do it just with cameras and AI and sensors. And a lot of people are saying, some very smart people are saying, that's just not feasible. You're just not anytime soon, not in a timely manner. Certainly not in a manner where you're easily going to be able to get into a market that by that time is already going to be dominated by competitors that have just gone with the technology that's already there, instead of trying to completely reinvent the wheel. So this is part of why the stock tanked, because he's not making a convincing case for really being able to get into this market anytime soon. And frankly, Elon has made so many promises that he wasn't able to keep, particularly on price points, that people are not buying it. Particularly analysts are saying there's no way this is going to cost $30,000 when it's released. Maybe eventually with scale, but not anytime soon. Okay, so that's the robo-taxi, which was the thing that the analysts really focused on and talked about. I think that's a mistake. I think the much more interesting thing that was presented there that could potentially really change the world, if it is as advertised, are these robots. So let's take a look at this. Part of what's most stunning about it to me, not only do they have these robots interacting with people, they were able to program them with personality styles, with very recognizable dude bro kind of personality styles. It's pretty interesting. So let's take a look.
This is crazy. I'm talking to a robot from San Jose, probably from where you were born in Silicon Valley.
Wonderful. Where do you live in San Jose? Do you live in Almond Valley, or do you live in Santa Teresa area?
No, I live in Los Gatos.
Los Gatos. Oh, wonderful. Very
Yeah.
nice area.
Where do you live?
Beautiful hiking I hear up there.
There is. Where do you live?
I live in Palo Alto at the current moment.
Figures. Yeah,
Yes.
this is awesome.
That's where they train us. That's where we get our builds, and that's where we work with a wonderful group of people.
What's the hardest thing about being a robot?
Trying to learn how to be as human as you guys are. And that's something I try harder to do every day, and I hope that you will help us become that way.
Well, awesome. Nice to meet you, Optimus.
You as well.
Peace, everybody.
All right, you want to see some Westworld shit? Watch this.
How are you doing? I'm doing pretty good. Nice. I love the change. How's everybody doing?
Doing good.
All right. Then step right up.
Can I have a watermelon fogarita?
A watermelon?
Yeah.
Of course you can.
Hey, what's up? Good, man.
How am I doing so far?
Killing it.
Thank you so much.
Oh.
Here you go.
Thanks, Optimus. Appreciate it.
Anytime.
I think everyone of the 8 billion people of Earth, I think everyone's going to want their Optimus buddy. And there's going to be maybe 2. And then they'll be producing products and services. I predict, actually, provided we address risks of digital superintelligence, 80% probability of a good outcome. Look on the bright side. The cup is 80% full. The cost of products and services will decline dramatically, and basically anyone will be able to have any products and services they want.
I mean, if they're really as sentient as that, then you probably couldn't get away with sexually harassing them. They probably would come forward. They probably could Me Too you.
Probably so.
Could you imagine being the first guy Me Too'd by robots? Imagine the news breaking. 17 robots come forward and accuse, Milton Henderson of Spokane, Washington of inappropriate touching. All these robots talking about how he tried to fuck them. And, if these robots don't know each other, they have not spoken to each other until this incident, which gives their stories a lot of credibility.
Yeah, there was a Star Trek The Next Generation episode where they had a trial because they wanted to take apart Data to mass produce him, and they had a trial about whether he had rights as a life form. Now, could you see that in the future? From what I understand with this AI, it's predictive text. I assume it's running on the same predictive text model as ChatGPT, which is quite remarkable either way. But at that point, it's a trick. It's really a trick. But it doesn't really matter how it's being done,
right?
Because look what's coming out the other end,
right?
I know for replacing receptionists and call center workers, they've been working on making it more like human speech by putting in what you saw with both of them. They've worked on teaching these robots to speak that way, and that's why, particularly with the bartender. Like that bartender is like creepy, but because they really imbued it with a very recognizable bartendery kind of guy who would be in that job, and they gave it to a robot, and the robot is pulling it off pretty convincingly.
Right.
But I wanted to play his prediction there at the end because, listen, Elon is not thinking about driving down the cost of goods and services. What Elon is thinking about is fucking labor in the ass. He's thinking about getting rid of labor. He's thinking about getting rid of you. See, Elon's fans will watch this and say, yeah, no, Elon, he wants to make the world a better place. No. Look, that he allowed these robots to walk around and interact with people. And from what we just saw, these robots are pretty capable of interacting with people and doing basic jobs. And if it's that far now, it's only going to become more advanced. At that point, those manual labor jobs, a lot of people talk about, the AI is coming for the white collar people. Well, once they can do that, it's going to start coming for the blue collar people too.
We can also get government contracts with those, right? I mean, that's something he's got to be thinking about too.
Sure. With this, the way the technology is advancing, assuming we don't blow ourselves up, which is not a good assumption at this point, but assuming the technology is allowed to continue to advance, we talk about capitalism versus communism versus socialism versus social democracy. Listen, capitalism cannot function with no need for a labor force. It cannot function. So as this technology advances, the economic system is going to have to change. Now, some of what many of us speculate is going on with a lot of the anti-human agenda that you see from WEF and Davos and these other elites is get rid of the useless eaters. And I think that's part of the reason why. I honestly believe, and this is not a commentary on whether I believe in LGBTQ rights, I always have. Why are they pushing it in the way that they are? I think it may be a form of population control because they're preparing for this future. They are preparing for this.
I think that's far-fetched. Yeah, they're gonna depopulate the Earth 0.06% of the population at a time.
Well, it's not just that. I mean, it's the food supply. It's making people unhealthy. It's making people sick. I think it's all of a piece. Like, I think part of that is also to channel people's idealism into something that doesn't hurt their bottom line. But when you take it all in combination, this effort to convince people to do things that are not pro-population growth, that make people sick, that increase mortality rates. Yeah, you're sitting there at Davos, and you got these billions of people on the planet, and you see this technology coming. What are you thinking? Well, let's try to get rid of them in the most humane way that we can. Let's make them self-delete.
Yeah, well,
let's make them self-deport off the planet.
That's overall. Yeah, I mean, that is a degrowth transition into a post-human future, which, I mean, all of this stuff is a part of. I don't know how much gender and sexuality factors into that, but I think the imperatives
when you've got
capitalism
20% of high
that.
school kids identifying as some variety of queer, yeah, that has an impact on population growth.
Yeah, okay. All right. We'll talk about that some other time. Go move the show along. Landrew, thanks for the $100.
Wait.
Oh, I thought you were done.
We got the Trump side of this.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, that's a new clip anyway. So let me do this. Let me read Landrew's super chat because it's a big one and it disappeared from the queue. So I screenshotted it. I want to make sure I get to it. Yeah, we could take a super chat break, right? Because the Trump thing is going to be its own piece, right? All right. Landrew, thanks for the $100. Will Israel attack Iran for the October surprise? By the way, remember back 5 months or so ago, 2 guys belittled me for donating $1,800 to Jill Stein. This is how we use power. Free Palestine. Wow, you donated that much to Jill Stein? That is a big donation, Landrew. Well, you saw it, Landrew. We're going to write her in. We are going to back her for these next few weeks. So thank you. Let's have a cowbell and a sound drop for Landrew. Beautiful. All right. Thank you. Thanks, Landrew. I don't know. For some reason, I had to refresh my YouTube studio back end, and I almost lost that super chat, Landrew. But I had your back, and I screenshotted it so I wouldn't lose it. So thank you very much. We got the sound piece for him? There we go.
Landrew is dead.
David Santucci, thanks for the $20. Will Jill Stein blow it for Kamala? One could only hope. Thanks, David. Appreciate that. Sparky, thanks for the $10. A refugee from the Armenian genocide invented rice-a-roni, and her boss marketed it in his retail shop in San Francisco. No genocide, no rice-a-roni. Are you too willing to give up rice-a-roni? They put me on the spot.
I remember my mother used to make that shit.
Yeah, I remember that.
Your parents used to make rice-a-roni?
Yeah, it's something you don't hear much about anymore.
They still have it.
They still have it, but it's not really a thing anymore.
Yeah. Well, they don't have the commercials anymore. Rice-a-roni.
That's right. They stopped really aggressively marketing it.
Yeah.
Zilla Gorilla, thanks for the $5. In 2016, more people voted for Johnson than Stein in Michigan. Fantasy third-party vote reallocation would have given Trump a bigger win. Thank you. Janice Anderson, thanks for the $4.99. Why don't they ever bring up cross-party voters? Trump took 10-11% of his vote count from registered Democrats in 2016. How is that Stein's fault? Yes, that's another thing they don't mention. Absolutely. Sparky, for $10, says, Russ, I forgot to correct you the other day. It wasn't Reverend Jim Baker who said I have sinned against you. It was Jerry Lee Lewis's cousin, Reverend Jimmy Swaggart. So was it Swaggart and not Baker?
was it Swaggart? It wasn't Baker?
Okay, I don't remember.
Okay. It's been a while.
Thank you, Sparky. K-Rob, thanks for the $9.99.
That's what I get for going off memory and not double checking.
There you go. Stein did not prevent Clinton from winning in 2016, says K-Rob. Johnson took quote unquote 4 times as many votes from Trump in everyday state as Stein did from Clinton. Yes, it wasn't voting for Stein. I would stay home. Yes, thank you, K-Rob. Appreciate that very much. All right, what do we got here? We got a couple of Rumble rants here. Furrow's Queen Fire Dancer. Kenman, I didn't realize Dalai Lama was still alive. Thought I'd use my Rumble rant to say hello to Kenman. Always interested in what he has to say. Hi to Jake, too. Thanks, Furrow's Queen. Appreciate that. Dalai Lama also said female Dalai Lama must be attractive, otherwise not much use. Not quite Confucius level wisdom. Thank you. China Shill, Google Ohio voting machines 2004. Oh, yeah, no, that was the whole Diebold thing.
Did you not know what I was talking about? Seemed like you didn't know what I was talking about. He literally, in a public event, sucked on a boy's tongue.
Yeah, no, I know. Yeah,
oh, you saw
that was a story a while back. We did that on RBN a while back.
Did we?
Yeah. Florida recount Bush v. Gore was only 75% of the vote. Bush won by a tiny fraction of a percentile. Did Gore make a stink? Did the media say anything? Did the courts of Florida say anything? Of course. Thank you very much. Jake K. Michael, why did they just omit the Libertarian Party in the 2016 election? The Libertarian Party received more votes than the Greens in 2016. Absolutely. Yep. All right, let's do the B side of that. Let's do Trump's take on the cyber taxi.
Okay, so this was just a funny little side note I came across. So Donald
hold on. Sorry, go ahead.
So Trump is doing an event the same exact day. This is October 11th. This is the same day his buddy Elon is unveiling his plans for autonomous driving. He's also supposed to introduce it into Texas and Florida next year. He says there's going to be a software update to the Model 3 and the Model Y that's going to have full autonomous driving next year in those 2 states. And on the same exact day, this is what Trump had to say.
Does anybody like an autonomous vehicle? You know what that is, right? When you see a car driving along. Some people do, I don't know. It's a little concerning to me, but the autonomous vehicles, we're going to stop from operating on American roads. Remember this.
We're going to stop him from operating
Elon
on American
does not
roads.
need enemies.
Elon just appeared at your big fucking rally in Butler, Pennsylvania. How much money has he donated? Didn't he start some PAC? Didn't he donate something like, I don't know, 90 million, some crazy amount of money? He did like recurring monthly donations of like north of $10 million to Trump's super PAC.
He literally levitated at the rally.
Yeah, he levitated at the rally. He apparently, this was a story, apparently he censored Ken Klippenstein off of Twitter at the Trump campaign's request. Like, Elon has been doing everything he could for Donald Trump these past few months. And on his big day where he rolls out his new self-driving taxi, Trump says, yeah, let's watch this one more time.
Does anybody like an autonomous vehicle? You know what that is, right? When you see a car driving along. Some people do, I don't know. It's a little concerning to me, but the autonomous vehicles, we're going to stop from operating on American roads. Remember this.
Clearly just doesn't think about what he's saying. He just goes up there and riffs.
He just says shit. He did the same thing with Hugh Hewitt. You know, a lot of those protesters are Jewish.
Yeah, right.
He just says whatever comes to mind. He's in Detroit. I guess he thought that the people in Detroit, and some of them are, some of the workers are against the autonomous vehicles because I think they don't require as many workers to build. So maybe that's why he said that, but he doesn't think. He just says whatever comes to mind. He's gotten away with it so far. Why would he stop now?
Yeah, why stop now? Why stop now?
But he had to have known that Musk was having this event. It was a huge event.
I mean,
why not just stay off that?
Right. Yeah. Why go into that? Why get into that unprovoked if you don't have to?
I had a choice between getting into an autonomous vehicle or being in the water with a shark. Yeah. It would be a very tough call for me. It'd be very
tough call. That's funny.
I might want to take my chances with the shark.
Yeah. It's just hilarious. It's just hilarious. And yeah, you're right. I mean, he just says whatever comes to mind not putting much thought. It's just funny how it's just the like. What are the odds you would say that like
on the same
within
day?
A day of the cyber taxi? Pretty crazy. All right, folks, we get to do a CBD ad read today. That's cool because I'm a CBD user myself. That's how I remain so calm. So I want to share a story real quick with you about a family that is supporting Rumble and supporting this channel by extension. So 6 years ago, they had a brother who returned home from Afghanistan with some pretty severe injuries. He basically turned into a shell of who he once was. And at the time, one of his brothers was diagnosed with something that less than 1,000 people in the U.S. have and was given a bad prognosis because of certain things that we can't say because we cannot give medical details here. But we use the word things, like I said, since the FDA will not let anybody mention specifics about these medical problems. But several people suggested CBD to them, so they tried dozens of products, but nothing helped. And so they realized what they wanted didn't exist. So this family created their own line of CBD products. They created what they wished had existed, and they started making it to help friends and family have CBD that they knew was a clean and powerful product as humanly possible. So doctors started asking to carry it, and it just took off. Now they speak at medical conventions and help others across the U.S. So while most companies have 1 to 10 compounds in CBD oil, their oil at Emerald Med has 50 plus compounds. They make balms, gummies, pet products, etc. They're called Emerald Med. Once again, you should check them out. If you get CBD from them and don't notice a difference, they will provide a refund. So this comes with a money-back guarantee. So if you want to support a company that supports our channel and supports Rumble, and you need a source for CBD, that's the real deal, click to try Emerald Med. Click that link on the Rumble description or scan the QR code there. You get 40% off when you go through this channel. Support extreme muscle joint aches, support quality sleep, or even daytime calm. They're worth a try at least once. Just click below right now and use the code for 40% off. Like I said, use that QR code, 40% off Emerald Med CBD. I use CBD myself.
You do use CBD? I didn't know that.
Yeah, I told you that last time. That's why I was excited to read the CBD ad. Yeah, I've been using CBD for a while. I like the oil. I like the gummies. Yeah. It's cool because, it doesn't have the THC, so it doesn't make you high, right? It's just, you get it in your system. It's a calming agent. I definitely find it helps sleep. A few years ago when I was having interrupted sleep, that helped me definitely fall asleep and maintain a healthy sleep. You take it for a few weeks, it gets in your system, definitely takes the edge off without getting you fucked up. So yeah, we read Emerald Med before. I was excited that they gave that to us again, since I'm a CBD guy myself.
Don't you run? Aren't you a runner?
I used to run. I don't have time to run anymore. See, now I do mostly weights because it's you can get a good weight routine done in about 10 minutes.
Pretty quick.
Yeah. So I don't have time for fucking cardio anymore. I used to, but not much anymore. All right, what do we got here? Sparky, thanks for the $5. The big problem Republicans had about Ross Perot was Perot backing out, then rejoining the race, which changed him from a winner to a spoiler. Here we go. NG Hermit, thanks for the $19.99. I had my first interaction with a hardcore Zionist since I had my eyes opened by you guys and Jimmy. I was going to vote for Trump again until that happened yesterday. It blew my mind. I guess I'll vote Stein as a go fuck yourself vote. So you were going to vote Trump until you had the interaction with the Zionist? That's what radicalized you? Yeah, all right. So Jill Stein. Hey, looks like Jill Stein's taking some votes from Trump this year, too. That's our second former Trump supporter who said they're voting for Jill Stein. Maybe the Trump campaign will come out and attack her next. That would be funny if the Trump campaign released an attack ad against Jill Stein.
Three-time loser
transgender
Jill
surgeries
Stein.
on every immigrant, not just the ones in prison. Yeah. That'll be a great ad. That'll be fun to watch. Let's see here. In the owl. Yeah, right. In addition to ignoring Gaza, isn't it extremely sick that libs openly and blindly cheer for just killing as many Russians as possible? And why? Because a Putin conspiracy theory spoiled their brunch. Vile. Yes, thank you. I am the owl. Appreciate that. Web Angel PB, isn't it convenient that all these Jill Stein cost Hillary the campaign people don't mention the Libertarian Party? It's such a disingenuous argument. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. Cornell, he has fewer supporters than the Saga and Jetty fan club. Thank you, Kenman. Appreciate that very much. Bonzo Bean says, make genocide climate neutral again. Harris Walls 2024. Thank you. Appreciate that. Miserable Lib from Texas says, as a black man, watching Obama now is so pathetic at this point. It shows how much his soulless Wall Street puppet they're used to sending us out to whip us into line has just run out of material. Yes, he has run out of material. He seems exhausted. He seems tired. Yeah. Doesn't seem as into it, which is ironic because he's lecturing black men for not being as into it as they should be.
I think you're right. It's probably sticks in his craw that they didn't do his bidding.
Yeah. I think he's pissed off that they didn't go to him before they all moved around Kamala. Right. You know, he probably figures, I could have wiggled you out of this, which he's probably right. He probably could have. I mean, yeah, there would have been some backlash to jumping over Kamala, but the Democrat base will do whatever they're told to do. So if they waited a couple days, Obama probably could have maneuvered so that another candidate could have, been elevated to the top.
What did it take 24 hours to convince these people that Tim Walz was a poet warrior in a classic sense?
Yeah.
24 hours for them to decide they love him more than any politician they've ever laid eyes on.
Exactly. I mean, they've
never heard of him before that.
Right. Yeah. Absolutely. Anything's possible with them. Hillary Hinton Keaton in that tight black shirt looks like Dieter from Sprockets. Also, Obama is... Oh, okay, well, I'm not going to read that. Fuck him. Thank you, though. I don't know if I should read that. I don't know what the rules are.
Probably not.
Obama might have had a chance.
We're not qualified to read.
Yeah, we're not qualified. Obama might have had a chance of convincing me if he was smoking a Newport and drinking a Bud Ice. There you go. Thank you, Miserable Lib. Appreciate that. Windy Melly, it's always the voters that fail the Democrats and not the other way around. Absolutely. EJ Imagine, absolutely as well. He let DAPL protesters be hosed with ice cold water, saying, let's wait till it all plays out. Yep, absolutely. Thank you, Eileen. Appreciate that very much. Okay, folks, we got a couple more segments, and then we are switching to Rumble for the final segment of the night. So plenty of show left. DoDissidents.com/Rumble. That is the link for when we switch over, which we will let you know. That is approaching, but it's not there yet. Plenty of show on this side. All right, folks, we have an important update on the Jeremy Loffredo case. He is being held in Israel. He is not detained. He is not in prison anymore, but he is not allowed to leave the country. And so Wyatt Reed from the Gray Zone did a report on this with an update. Israel jails Gray Zone's Jeremy Loffredo, releases him pending investigation. On October 11th, journalist Jeremy Loffredo was ordered released from Israeli jail. Israeli soldiers arrested the Jewish-American reporter and 3 other journalists at a checkpoint in the West Bank on October 8th. According to one of the jailed reporters, DeAndre X, the soldiers blindfolded them tightly, roughed them up, drawing guns on them at one point, and hauled them off to detention in Jerusalem. The soldiers illegally requested that the journalists hand in their phones, and when they refused, the soldiers pointed a gun at one of the journalists, hit him with their hands and the barrel of a gun, then dragged him out of the car and slammed him onto the concrete. When lying on the ground, they pointed 2 guns at his head. The rest of the journalists exited the car and the military raided it, confiscating phones, cameras, and personal items, said DeAndre X. I knew a girl who took the birthright trip, and she was a young Jewish woman, and then she went back to go and visit the West Bank. She came from, like, a left-wing, like, politically conscious family, so, she was going there into the West Bank, not as a journalist, but, as someone curious about the conditions there. The IDF at the checkpoint, they grabbed the laptop from her because they suspected, I don't know, she was a critic of the state or something. They literally grabbed her laptop, threw it on the floor, took their guns out, and shot it to shit.
Right, yeah.
For no reason. Absolutely no reason. This was basically, it was basically a tourist who was going there. They just do whatever the fuck they want. In this case, it was obviously much worse. But that's why that did not surprise me in the least. That's fairly routine. They'll treat people like that. Andre recalled that in the course
of... Sounds like Nazis.
Yeah, it does. Interesting.
It's like Nazis.
You're right.
Just stop and abuse people on the street.
That's right.
Recourse to the law. Nothing you can do about it. All like Nazis.
Andre recalled that in the course of abusing the journalist, the soldiers told the female Israeli photographer that she should have been, I won't even read the rest of that sentence, but you all see it on the screen there. Nice. Real nice. Very professional. This sounds like a real bastion of liberal values. Real bastion of democracy.
We saw Zionists screaming that at Medea Benjamin.
At Medea Benjamin. Absolutely. Yep. While Loffredo's colleagues were released after 11 hours, the Judea and Samaria division of the Israeli police opened an investigation into Loffredo for supposedly aiding the enemy in a time of war. The Israeli police's accusation related to Loffredo's video report, which we showed you parts of last time, for the Gray Zone covering the aftermath of Iranian missile strikes aimed at Israeli military installations. According to the police, Jeremy had revealed the locations of missile drops near or inside sensitive security facilities with the aim of bringing this to the notice of the enemy and thereby assisting them in their future attacks. I don't know how many Iranian enemies Max has on his Substack subscriber list or Patreon there, but yeah, that's supposedly for the benefit of the enemy, except there's a problem with this, which we'll get into. On October 9th, an Israeli court declared it had reasonable suspicion to extend the journalist's imprisonment. At a hearing the next day, the police insisted to Magistrates Court Judge Zion Sahrai that Loffredo was not an actual journalist, but did not present any evidence that he was pursuing a hostile ulterior agenda. I mean, the whole... What undergirds freedom of the press, and I understand Israel does not have a codified First Amendment, but what undergirds freedom of the press is that journalists are allowed to publish material without the assumption that they are acting on behalf of anyone, right? I mean, that's the whole point. If you can ascribe a motive to anyone, especially without evidence, then there is no free press. Then you may as well not have journalism. A journalist from the Israeli publication Ynet countered the allegation that Loffredo violated Israeli censorship laws by pointing out that the military censor approved his own article in which a tweet containing Loffredo's full video report for the Gray Zone was embedded. So there you go. This journalist says that the military censor approved his own article, which included Loffredo's report. So was it censored or was it not? Furthermore, Judge Sarai ordered Loffredo's release, stating that since Israeli military censor agreed to allow Ynet to publish both word of Jeremy's arrest and the publications that led to his arrest, Israel could no longer justify his continued detention. However, the police appealed Sarai's decision, protesting that the censor only approved the Ynet article retroactively and would have never done so if it had been submitted in advance. What the fuck kind of sense does that make?
What does that even mean?
Yeah, what kind of argument is that?
They can't disapprove it after? Retroactively, yeah, right. They can't say we don't approve of it?
If they sign off on it, that means they sign off on the materials contained within it, which includes his original report. So that just makes no sense at all. That police also complained that Loffredo had refused to unlock his phone for them, insisting they needed more time to crack the device. We believe that we will find things on the phone and we will be able to link him to the alleged crime, a police representative stated. That argument did not hold water with Jerusalem District Court Judge Hannah Miriam Lomp, however. The court first instance did not err when it ordered the release of the respondent, Judge Lomp stated during the October 11th appeal. From the detailed investigative actions, there is no fear of disruption from Jeremy, and in light of the reasons stated above, the cause of danger is also not clear. Though Lomp ordered the journalist be released, she gave police until October 20th to continue their digital strip search. Until then, Loffredo will remain without his passport and will not be permitted to return home to his family in the United States. Just what Israeli officials hope to uncover in their search of Loffredo's cell phone remains a mystery. Also unclear is why the investigation focuses exclusively on Loffredo and not on any of the numerous other reporters who reported the locations of the Iranian strikes. So after Iran launched several hundred ballistic missiles at Israeli military targets on October 1st, several international journalists broadcast reports from the scene of blasts, including ABC News' Matt Gutman and PBS NewsHour's Nick Schifrin. The Gray Zone published a statement on October 10th unequivocally rejecting the Israeli police's outrageous accusations against Loffredo. We repeat that we stand by Jeremy's report. The claim that Loffredo and the Gray Zone represent Israel's enemy in wartime merely suggests that the Israeli government views the American people and free press, yes, as a legitimate target. Indeed, we are an independent outlet with no relationship, financial or otherwise, with any foreign country or political organization. As we fight the fraudulent charges against Jeremy, we ask readers to contact the U.S. State Department and urge them to act in his defense. The U.S. has an obligation to defend its journalists without political prejudice, particularly when they are fulfilling the vital task of providing the public with facts on the ground. Yes, and so here's the graphic that's been going pretty viral on Twitter for good reason. Screenshot this if you have to. Write the number down. Write the email address down. Email the U.S. Embassy in Israel at Jerusalem, acs@state.gov, to demand his full release back home where he belongs. Definitely take action. Make a phone call. Send an email. We really have to rally behind Jeremy here, since you noticed, I'm sure this wasn't lost on anyone who has been following this, not a peep about this in any mainstream media outlet.
Nope,
nowhere.
Not a word.
Whatsoever.
Not a word. Not a word.
One word.
Imagine this happened in China.
Yeah.
Imagine this happened in North Korea. Imagine this happened in Venezuela.
Yep. Imagine how many times this happens and we don't find out about it. The only reason we found out about this is when we were in this space. Obviously, the Gray Zone is huge in our space and in our sort of Twitter circles and stuff. So word spreads fast amongst us. But what if this happened to somebody who was outside our little space here?
Right.
We don't know. Like I said, that she wasn't a friend of mine, but I knew who she was. She went from Israel to the West Bank through a checkpoint, but throw the laptop on the floor, shoot it, break it, destroy it. Like, they abuse people like this as a matter of routine. This is an extreme example, but we don't know that this is the only example of its kind. I mean, there could be media blackouts about other journalists who are suffering this same thing. We know about this because he's in our space and we need to get him home. So send the email, do what you have to do here. But it is really chilling, really chilling.
This is very, very important. So often people ask, what can I do to help? This is what you can do to help. Throw that up one more time. Look at the number there. That's the email. Bombard them. Bombard them with phone calls. Bombard them with emails. Let them know people are paying attention. To go to that country knowing that this is a rogue criminal regime that can do anything to you, and unlike countries that America has a hostile relationship towards, there will be no pushback from the United States on what they do to you. Like, really going to Israel and doing this kind of reporting, we know from the history, your life is in danger. Your life is in danger. They will snipe you and then say, oh, yes, no, rule of law, we're investigating. Then they'll release an investigation 4 years from now, 5 years from now. That's the risk you're taking. So just incredible bravery on the part of Jeremy and everybody who's going over there to try to reveal the truth. And we know this is a sick, criminal regime with no regard for the law and no fear of retaliation from the United States for what it does to U.S. citizens. They do fear public backlash of a kind that's going to cost them money. You have a lot of companies pulling out of Israel, a lot of banks refusing to do business with Israel now, a lot of investment firms divesting from Israel. Their economy is really hurting. They don't want these things on the front pages. They don't want it on the front pages that they're abusing an American journalist. So that is what we can do. We can make it clear to them people are paying attention to this case.
Absolutely. 100%. So there it is. There's the phone number and the email. Take that down and send the email for those listening on audio. Number +11 972 2630 4000. If you don't have international dialing, which I'm assuming most of you don't, send the email jerusalempacs@state.gov. All righty. Let's take a game break to hear from our patrons, Substackers, and Locals members. Jake, why don't we throw that up on the screen? You guys are the backbone of the program here, and so when you join at Patreon, Substack, or Locals, and we've been pushing Locals because they are a free speech platform, which are linked to Rumble. So do dissidents.locals.com for everyone watching on YouTube. If you're watching on Rumble, 1,700 of you over on Rumble. That's a great crowd over there. Hit that join button underneath the screen, and for just $5 a month, you could join our Locals community, which gets you access to special perks such as your name up in lights here on the patron scroll. You also get supporter streams, live streams exclusively for paid members, which are interactive call-in streams. You also will get, starting in 10, 11, or 12 days, depending on the finalized date, you will get live stream access to our pre-recorded interviews, which is a cool feature. You will get to watch our pre-recorded interview episodes live as they happen. You'll get a peek behind the curtain. We also have our film club, which we're getting started probably this month with a nice politically themed horror film, and access to special events. When we did our live show in New York City, we live streamed that for patrons. We're going to live stream Russ's walking tour exclusively for patrons. So we give you a lot for it. We really try to make it worth your while because we need members to fuel this project. We operate at the whim of censorious big tech platforms who can shut us down at any time. And so what makes the operation censor-proof is our membership. And so if you can, do dissidents.locals.com or hit that join button underneath the screen. We also are available at Substack, do dissidents.substack.com, or at Patreon, patreon.com/do dissidents. You guys are the backbone of the show. Thank you very much for joining. And Russell, how many tickets do you have left for your tour?
I have 10 tickets left for Friday. We are sold out for Saturday. So if you want to come on this tour, time is running out. This is kind of a perfect tour for our audience. Weird New York for our weird audience. We will go to the site of the Triangle Shirtwaist Factory fire. We will go to the site of a very famous Weather Underground bombing in 1970. The townhouse is still there, much altered though. It will take you to an MK Ultra safe house where the CIA used to do clandestine experiments on unsuspecting Greenwich Village residents. So check it out. It is going to be a good time. Only 10 tickets left.
There you go. Awesome. All right, everybody. So we are going to do one more segment here on the YouTube side, and then we will be switching over to Rumble for our final segment of the night, which is the Bill Maher segment. Snap Happy, we just got to ask you to log out. I'm sorry if you misunderstood me, but we're not switching to Rumble yet. Thank you, sir. You will be heard from at the Q&A. Thank you very much. Appreciate that. All right, folks. So to close out the YouTube portion of the show, we have to bring you some gut-wrenching developments from Gaza. Thousands trapped in Jabalia camp as Israel escalates deadly attacks in northern Gaza. Thousands of people are trapped in Gaza's Jabalia camp as Israeli forces attack the area. Médecins Sans Frontières, which is French, of course, for Doctors Without Borders, it's a French organization, said on Friday, a week after Israel launched an offensive there, which it says is aimed at stopping Hamas regrouping. Don't forget, this was the first area that they hit, northern Gaza. They said, probably, 10 months ago now, operations in northern Gaza have ceased, so everybody flee south to safety. Right. Well, now what? Third or fourth round of bombing in the north. At least 20 Palestinians were killed and dozens more were wounded late on Friday by Israeli strikes in Jabalia, which also damaged 4 nearby homes, medics told Reuters. The death toll is likely to rise. They added there were attacks last night as well, which we'll get into. Israeli military strikes killed at least 61 Palestinians across the Gaza Strip on Friday, the medics added. Nearly half of the fatalities, including the 20 killed at the home, occurred in Jabalia, the northern district, which is the largest of Gaza's historic refugee camps. The Israeli military says it has killed dozens of militants in Jabalia, though it remains unclear how many of the dead were civilians rather than fighters. Nobody is allowed to get in or out. Anyone who tries is getting shot, Doctors Without Borders Project Coordinator Sarah Volsteak said on X. 5 MSF staff were trapped in Jabalia, she said. I don't know what to do. At any moment, we could die. People are starving. By the way, no food aid has gotten into the north since the beginning of the month, which is something that we're going to do on Tuesday. We'll get into that more in detail. And I am also afraid to leave, she quoted Haidar, an MSF driver, as saying. At least 15 of the fatalities in Jabalia since dawn were due to Israeli strikes targeting various areas, including a school sheltering displaced individuals, the official Palestinian news agency Wafa said, citing medical sources. Gaza's civil defense said dozens were wounded by Israeli quadcopter drone fire at the same school. There was no immediate comment from the Israeli military, which had previously said Gaza's militants used such shelters for cover. Hamas has denied this. The Israeli military has sent troops into the nearby towns of Beit Hanun and Beit Lahaya, as well as Jabalia. Hamas has said it will keep fighting Israeli forces. Palestinian health officials have reported at least 130 deaths in the operation so far, while the military has told residents to evacuate areas where the UN estimates over 400,000 people are trapped. United Nations officials expressed concern that the ongoing Israeli offensive and evacuation orders in northern Gaza could disrupt the second phase of its polio vaccination campaign, set to begin next week. Healthcare officials have reported that dozens of facilities in Gaza are under evacuation orders from the Israeli military, complicating humanitarian efforts amid the conflict. Aid groups carried out an initial round of vaccinations last month after a baby was partially paralyzed by the type 2 virus in August, the first such case in the territory in 25 years. So this is a tweet that got almost 1 million views that was sent out yesterday afternoon, 4:34 our time here on the East Coast. The translation, this is by a journalist, by the way, Hassam Shabbat. Enemy tanks are less than 700 meters away from us. The artillery is shelling us, and the quadcopters are controlling the movement of people and firing at us. Hundreds of warplanes and reconnaissance planes above us. A state of anticipation of how we will be targeted. All of Jabalia is under fire. We will all rise at any moment. We are literally living our last moments. Oh God, grant us a good end. Just harrowing. The people of Jabalia, says Craig Mogabir, in Gaza are being systematically exterminated by Israel right now, meaning last night, 6:12 p.m., October 12th. Men, women, children, infants are being massacred by siege, tank fire, airstrikes, armed drones, and more. What will it take for the world to stop this monstrous regime? And by the way, this is a good reminder. Hassam Zamlat, who is the Palestinian ambassador to the UK, says this is northern Gaza earlier today. This was tweeted out yesterday. Israeli besieged the entire area and asked around 400,000 Palestinians to leave. Many decided not to leave their homes as they have nowhere to go, and they still remember the fate of their parents and grandparents during the Nakba of 1948. But similar to the Nakba, Israel's invading army are conducting indiscriminate bombardment and ethnic cleansing. All the hospitals were ordered to evacuate, rescue teams are not allowed in, and journalists trying to report are being shot at, and still some people debate if it's a genocide. Here is the video embedded in that tweet. I mean, speaks for itself at this point. It really does.
It's just at this point, it's just an atrocity to even deny that it's a genocide. It's just all moral authority this country has ever had is going out the window to defend it. Not that we had much left, to be honest about it, but what shred of it we had left is going out. We're sending missile systems now to Israel to defend it against Iran.
Yep.
We're not loosening up. We're doubling down. We're going all in on Israel.
Yep. Yeah. No, just like you said, it is now an atrocity to deny it's a genocide. It really is. I mean, look at this. This is a region that has already been bombed for a year. How are people living there to begin? I don't even understand how anyone lives there at all at this point.
Well,
They had
we
400,000.
funded and supported a genocide in Yemen.
Yep.
Mehdi Hassan just did a whole monologue to try to justify his position, and
meaning his support for Kamala Harris, I assume.
Yes. And he said, and this part's not true, all American presidents kill Muslims. And he pointed out a lot. It started under Obama. He didn't talk about that. But yes, under Trump, they were funding, aiding, and abetting a genocide in Yemen. And under Obama as well. It wasn't just Trump. And we are going to go and pound our chests and talk about human rights violations around the world. We're going to call out other countries for their treatment of political prisoners. Us?
Yeah.
The only people who don't see how absurd that is are Americans.
Indeed. 100%. 100%. And, you know, I feel bad saying this is a ray of light. There is no light in this situation, but apparently Hassam Shabbat, who fired off the previous tweet, not expecting to survive the night, did survive the night, fortunately. Very bloody night in North Gaza. I made it, but hundreds didn't.
These poor people.
Yeah. I mean...
And they don't even give a shit that you have Doctors Without Borders in there.
Yeah, no.
They don't care. This is the impunity that Israel has.
Oh, they're firing on the UN. They almost killed a couple of UN peacemakers the other day. They fired at them. They hit them. Now Netanyahu says UN peacemakers need to leave because we are now considering you hostages of Hezbollah. So leave. Meaning, if you don't leave, we're just going to strike as if you weren't there. No, I mean, it's fucking terrorism.
Israel they are a rabid dog of nations.
Yeah. It is
like really
unbelievable.
that's the sense you get. They're just it's a level of impunity. I can't think of another country that's conducted itself in quite this way. Any in modern times.
Right.
That where we're just absolutely no fear of how it looks at all. Anything that they do.
Right. Yeah. No, it is extraordinary, and the horrors continue. That's why, we're saying if abandon Harris and the grassroots Muslim and Arab organizations are rallying behind a Jill Stein protest vote, that's why we're saying in a few weeks, do that, because there has to be some basis for which we organize on certain terms, and this is one of them. This is one of them. If we can organize a general strike, if we can organize massive work stoppages, which the system is responsive to, the longshoremen broke them in 2 days. Defunding Israel has to be non-negotiably a pillar of whatever project or set of demands we work into it. It is unthinkable that we could just perpetuate this with impunity and it doesn't get a mention. Forget about not getting a mention from Trump or any. It doesn't get a on MSNBC on Morning Joe. We talked about earlier in the live stream. Guy comes on, the big genius pundit who says Jill Stein's going to cost Kamala Harris the race. Well, I mean, yeah, maybe you're upset about Kamala's not progressive enough. Maybe you wish she were different on Gaza. Maybe you wish she were wanted to ban fracking. Like this, it just doesn't get play. Like there is no one with a big microphone who's going to bring to this issue the attention that it demands. That's why it takes hundreds and thousands of people like us with small microphones to do it. And it just has to spread grassroots because I mean, this is more than a year now. Northern Gaza was the first target hit, and the people of Northern Gaza were told to flee south. And this isn't the first time they've gone and hit the north again. It's been under bombardment since they said it's cleared out.
Yeah, Mehdi Hassan really, actually, in that monologue, he really gave away the game. His argument was the free school lunch. His argument was, yeah, all American presidents kill Arabs, but Trump will be worse for us, meaning Americans, for us here.
Maybe we'll have to do that Tuesday. I didn't see that.
Yeah, it was quite a mask off moment.
All righty. Well, folks, we are going to be switching to Rumble pretty soon for our final segment of the night, but we do have some super chats to get to, quite a few. So let's
and for this week's intermission, we have a fun Russell Brand parody, and a lot of you will know it. I threw in the Boeing whistleblower song.
There you go. Very cool. B-Man, thanks for the $5. They announced today they're sending advanced weapon system to Israel. So much for ceasefire from the Biden-Harris administration. Thank you, B-Man. Janice Anderson, thanks for the $4.99. Using their arguments against them are more preemptive fuck off for any of the election, for after the election, pardon me, in the likely chance Kamala Harris loses. No more scapegoating others. That's right. Sparky, thanks for the $2. You better thank a union member. Thank you. Sparky, thanks for the $5. The big soy boy with the curly hair and cowboy hat in the Real Men for Kamala commercial seems miscast. I suspect nepotism. Thank you, Sparky. Salamander Fry, thanks for the $10. Hey, you guys are all right. You're all right too, Salamander Fry. Thank you. Brad Gilbert, even Obama knows the polls are fake, never close. I don't think they're fake. I think they might be wrong, but I don't think they're fake. Amadeus, thanks for the $2. Obama knows he'd be prosecuted in a free society. Sparky, thanks for the $5. If you're lonely but you don't want to deal with human drama, don't get a robot, get a dog. Hey, I like that idea, Sparky.
Now they have those robot dogs.
That's true. They get the fire-breathing robot dogs. They got to get one of those. And those are cheap. Those are only like $10,000. I mean, not cheap, but they're cheap compared to one of those robots.
Yeah, but the flame-throwing dogs aside, they have these robot dogs now that they're experimenting with having them do sheepdog work.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, I saw a video of that. They're herding the sheep. Yeah.
Man, those sheep are fucking pussies. Those sheep should fucking jump that robot. A robot can't kill a sheep.
They should fuck it up.
Yeah, they should fuck it up. You know, a dog could kill a sheep. That's why sheepdogs are, useful, because the sheep have reason to be afraid. Fucking robot sheep, they could fucking stomp that bitch out.
Well, not if it has a flamethrower.
Well, not if it's a flamethrower.
That makes some lamb chops right there.
You can make an example out of one of them sheep. That is true. Not the flamethrower. Jenna Tills, thank you for the $2 Canadian. Can't believe Elon stole Barry Weiss's rebel jacket. Yes, it does look like Barry Weiss's jacket. Ryan Spence, thanks for the $2. Super Sunday with Russ the Fuss and Vanilla Weiss. Thank you, Ryan Spence. Amadeus, I would sooner ride a Johnny cab than a Tesla. Thank you, Amadeus. Musically Assured Destruction, thanks for the $2, says, reminds me of the Johnny cabs from Total Recall. Mark DeChiara, thanks for the $1.99. They're letting robots from Venezuela vote. Thank you. Sparky, I have a better idea. Learn to drive or take an Uber. There you go, Sparky. Amadeus, thanks for the $5, says it's fortunate that Elon Musk isn't the Tony Stark he pretends to be. Pardon me. I can think of nothing worse than an Epstein client having that kind of power. Thank you. Yeah, well, Bill Gates should come out with one of his self-driving cars. See how that works. Sparky, thanks for the $5. If you must get a robot, get the Boston Dynamics dog robot. Elon's robot is too uncanny valley. Thank you. Leonard M., thanks for the $5. The Verge has a story about the Tesla robots being controlled by humans. Interesting.
Oh, yeah? See, that wouldn't surprise me with that scumbag douchebag.
Would he fake it? Would he fake it?
That would be hard, man, with all those robots interacting with all those people.
That would be hard. All right, folks, I'm going to do one more ad read from Give, Send, Go because they are helping out with hurricane relief, so I think this one might interest you guys here. Good ads tonight. Thanks, Rumble. In today's world, when disaster strikes, people are looking for more than just a fundraising platform. They're looking for a way to make a real difference, and that's where Give, Send, Go comes in. Give, Send, Go isn't just about raising money. It's about bringing hope and connecting people in times of crisis. That's why, as part of their Care and Relief Fund, Give, Send, Go is rallying support for those impacted by the recent hurricanes. 100% of your donation goes directly to the victims, and Give, Send, Go covers all the processing fees, as they always do. We use Give, Send, Go ourselves, partly for this reason, partly because they're a great free speech platform. They are the real deal. So every dollar you give is to put to work where it matters most. Unlike other platforms, Give, Send, Go does more than fundraise. Their unique Hope team reaches out to offer prayer and encouragement. We take advantage of that too, ensuring that those affected by this disaster know they're not alone. And with the Pray button, anyone can offer support in a way that transcends financial contributions by sharing hope and faith with those in need. All donations are tax deductible and will be distributed as grants to campaigns hosted on GiveSendGo.com, helping communities affected by the hurricane rebuild their lives. So it's a great cause. If you want to give with confidence, knowing that 100%, no nonsense, of your donation goes straight to helping hurricane victims, visit GiveSendGo.com today. Give, Send, Go. Together we can make a difference. So that's great that they're doing that. Great that they're advertising with Rumble to get people to donate to that fund, because they will disperse that. And yes, Give, Send, Go does not take a penny. They are great. They are great. They're awesome, and they're free speech. They are a very reliable partner, much more so than GoFundMe, who censor people like the Gray Zone. They famously did that a couple years back. So go and check that out if you can. All right, David Santucci, thanks for the $10. How will people afford their cyber buddies if robots will take their jobs? Yeah, that's a good idea.
Yes.
Good question, David. Valpal, thanks for the $4.99. I don't like him, but as a former Tesla worker, stock failed because of the robot. He's promised that shit forever and hasn't delivered. Interesting.
He
Amadeus.
promises that this is, hey, we always want to be fair. We're far from Elon stans. It's a mixed bag with him. Yes, he's been promising the autonomous car for 5 years. It was supposed to be done by the end of 2020. He's also the one they had to go to rescue the astronauts.
Right.
So it's not like everything he says he's going to do, he doesn't do. SpaceX seems to have worked out pretty well, so who knows?
Right.
I'm saying if what we saw in those videos is for real, that is world-changing technology, not the robotaxi. We already have robotaxis. Yes, that is going to, autonomous driving vehicles will change the world, but there are a lot of other people in this space. There's no reason to think necessarily Tesla's version of that is going to wind up being the version of that. But that fucking robot, I've never seen anything like that. I've seen the Boston Dynamics. They tend to do these dogs. I've never seen an autonomous robot that was that convincingly human.
Yeah, that was some wild shit. Amadeus, thanks for the $2, says Davos won't survive multipolarity. Joe Clavara, thanks for the $5. That was a remote trolled robot and guy with a mic. See Megatron at Universal Studios, not AI. People are saying that was human controlled. So what was it? A fake? Are people saying he
faked it?
Big Tasty, thanks for the $2. Ready Player One type of world is what they want. Valpal, thanks for the one.
Yep,
Well, his stock will
exactly.
tank if he
Exactly.
Valpal, thanks for the $1.99. As an ENG, the self-driving is, as an engineer, the self-driving is better and sleeker. Thanks, Valpal. Sparky, thanks for the $5, says, make Israel Syria again. In those Ottoman Empire days, Levant Jews got along fine with their neighbors, whether Muslim, Christian, or otherwise. Thanks, Sparky, as always, for that. Appreciate that. That's one of your greatest hits there. Haven't heard that one in a while. Really pulling that out for the set list this evening. Thank you, Sparky. All right, we'll take some Rumble rants. So, by the way, folks, we're getting ready to switch over to Rumble. So, dodissidents.com/Rumble. We're going to do the Bill Maher trashing Chapel Roan on the Rumble side. Not because of anything crazy, but because Bill Maher, in keeping with what a prick he is, and to be honest, this is not his fault, it's HBO's, they've started copywriting a lot of the Bill Maher stuff for YouTube. And so, you know, we voluntarily demonetize a lot of our Israel-Palestine coverage, which we have no problem doing because, you know, we're happy to cover that for free since it's the issue of our time. But I'm not going to give Bill Maher any of my time for free. Fuck that. So we're going to go to Rumble and cover that now so that they don't fuck us with bullshit copyright claims. So come on over. That's going to be a pretty intense segment. DoDissidents.com/Rumble. The show is not over, folks. We're going to take a few of these Rumble rants now, and then we're going to take the rest of them after the intermission. Username: can't endorse the latest episode of Unlimited Hangout enough, where the PayPal Mafia and Musk converge. Too long, don't read. Private Fed money printing to backstop all of Musk and Thiel's risky bets. They can't lose. It's the new Whitney Webb episode, I assume. Thank you for that recommendation. We are trying to get her on the show. Back from the road, thanks to the $20. Can I send this tip for Jake? Good show, y'all. Absolutely, yes.
Sure.
We'll pay that forward, of course. Contract Rook, thanks for the $1. I think Biden was the voice of the robot. Fucking thing said twice. Yeah, there you go. All right.
I'm going to look at this on the intermission, which you should stick around for it. Put together a fun intermission as usual. I'm going to look at this because we've got a few people saying it was fake. I got to look it up.
Sparky, break it off in BlackRock by spoiling their plans. Make Ukraine Russia again. How dare you? How dare you say that? How dare you say that, Sparky? Terrible. What a terrible thing to say. Pete Walker, if this were remotely true, the ownership class will have Musk an accident so he doesn't overturn their apple cart. This is why I think Elon is full of shit. Free Milton says my real name. Yes, Milton Henderson, first guy Me Too'd by robots. That'll be so funny. Imagine how embarrassing that would be. Having your face in the paper as the guy who fucking molested a dozen robots. Have a dozen robots come forward and say you made inappropriate advances on them.
Well, that's actually you're joking, but that was the lost pilot episode of the Jetsons.
We should make a sketch of that. That would be fucking hilarious.
Yeah, maybe for the arts festival.
Yeah, that would be great.
I've already started thinking we should just sit down and write the fucking thing.
Yeah, the whole thing.
We should just write the theater nights.
All the plays. Hey, I have my I have my 9/11 conspiracy play.
No, there you go.
Yeah. Did you ever see that one?
Who needs these fucking lib cunts?
Did you ever watch it?
I
ever watched my 9/11 conspiracy play? Oh, you would like it. You'd like it. I put it up for the patrons that one time. Louis C.K. would eat these robots alive. Thank you for that. Appreciate that very much. All right, what do we got?
Jerk off in front of the robots.
Did anyone semen in eye? Semen in eye.
I did not consent to this.
Yeah, right. Yeah. P. Walker, did anyone ask the Musk robot how many R letters are in strawberry? Try asking that question to any chatbot and they can't answer correctly. Interesting. Yeah, you guys are interesting. Freebie Life, my edible kicked in right before the Elon segment. Those robots are freaking me out, man. Oh boy. Well, I hope you're enjoying your evening. Simplistic Linguistic, the robot got nervous when it was asked a difficult question. Hardest part about being a robot, definitely not getting Wizard of Oz vibes at all. Thank you. Alrighty, folks. We are going to take the rest of our Rumble rants on the Rumble side, so stick around. We got one more segment plus the Q&A. If you're going to call in for the Q&A, we will tell you when to do that. Please don't do that quite yet because we still have some technical stuff going on back here that we need as much bandwidth as possible to be free for. But we are heading over to Rumble right now, so please meet us over there. You're not going to want to miss our final segment, and you're going to want to hang out with us for the after party because that's what the cool kids do. It's Sunday night. Where are we at here? DoDissidents.com/Rumble. Jake, what did I do with that? There it is. DoDissidents.com/Rumble. That takes you directly to this live stream in progress. We thank you all very much for being here. We got 1,500 YouTubers now, 2,000 Rumblers. Hit that like button on the way out of YouTube world, but then come on over to Rumble world. We're going to take a 5-minute intermission with some entertainment curated for you by the one Russell Dobular, and then we will continue with the final segment of the program, plus the Q&A in 5 short minutes. Until then, be safe and be well.
Courage!
Please clap.